let's bring in a great survivor of the new era here to talk with us here today about everything that they're seeing in the game of Survivor. Please welcome my friend, Dr. Evvie Jagoda is here. Evvie, how are you?
What's going on, Rob? Oh my gosh. When you say my friend, Dr. Evvie Jagoda, it just fills me up, Rob.
Okay.
I'd have a
Good.
crush on you if that was something I would do,
Yeah, if that was something that people had towards me. Yes. Thank you, Evvie. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
So nice to see you again back here on the podcast, and very excited to get to talk about season 42 with you because I feel like that these are sort of like your like bizarro identical twins. The season 42 cast.
It's so true. It's like when I even like, especially that first episode, watching the boats come in, I was like, if I just blur my eyes, like that could be us, but it's not us. And that means I get to just watch the show and have fun and not have to stress about anything. So yeah, can't wait to talk about it.
Okay. Evvie, what's new with you?
Not much. I've been working. I've been living. I'm happy that the sun is out for longer, with the daylight savings. I don't know. Is it is it controversial to say that you're pro the daylight savings change?
I don't think it would be controversial if you said you were against it. I don't know anybody that's been like, hey, like it's fine. It's fine how it is. Leave it alone, everybody.
Yeah, it's like this is a universal opinion, and even if it wasn't, hell, Rob, I'm going to take a stance pro daylight savings.
Yeah,
forever.
I feel like if anything, I feel like that we should be making a bigger deal about it's something that everybody agrees on.
It's true. It's true. And it's not, I'm not someone that's necessarily just wants everyone to be like, let's find common ground, but also let's find common ground where there is. It's a universal human thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's find out who like the real trolls are who are going to come out against it.
Right. And someone will. That's the thing I've learned about the internet. There's someone,
Yeah, something is too beloved. People will want to come out with a hot take of like, you know what? I like turning the clocks back.
Yeah, but then we might find out, then we'll have to do the reveal of the thing, and then it's probably someone like nurses or something that's actually good, and we're forgetting. So,
I liked it when Erika broke the hourglass. I like time travel. Okay. It's fun.
That would be a hot take, I feel like, unless you're Erika, because worked out.
Yes. Yeah. No, she loved it. For many others, Danny specifically, not so great. So looking forward to getting to talk about Survivor 42 with you. What is it like getting to watch Survivor now as somebody who has gone through the whole Survivor experience?
It's the experience of watching yourself. It's really high highs and it's low lows. It's just like, I feel like the week, talk about a roller coaster, it's like every Tuesday I was like freaking out, couldn't sleep. Wednesdays, crazy high. Thursdays, huge crash. Now I just get to watch it and it's like just fun again. Like I really just have found joy in watching it and like getting to be a fan. And most importantly, I get to listen to podcasts because I would always try because I wanted to, but then you hear just like one thing about you that's not even bad, but it's like not something you really want to hear.
They don't even know what they're talking about.
I mean, what, these know-it-alls don't know anything,
Yeah. That's, well, everybody knows that's true. But could you speak a little bit about the experience of what it's like of like, you went out there, you lived your experience, you know what happened. And then sort of like on pins and needles, right? Going into each week of like, I wonder what they're going to show.
Totally. And it really is so interesting because and I feel like I feel very lucky. Like, I feel like I overall had a very nice edit. I mean, like, I feel like a lot of my story got to be told, but it's not everything. And it doesn't encompass like the actual nitty gritty. And especially it's interesting to me that I'm on this for episode 2, because I feel like that was probably like one of my biggest episodes of the season. I'm like so much of me going on in that episode. And that's also the episode that I feel like there was so much missing. Like the Voce vote for me, not controversial in my head, but like was this huge, like, what, how could they? And it's like, oh, they just didn't really explain it, So I feel like, you have a lot of nerves going into every episode and you just don't know. You want everyone to like you and think you're playing well, but you don't know what's gonna happen. And so, if there's anyone out there, if any current players are listening to this podcast, like, we don't really know. So just don't feel bad about anything.
We don't know. I mean, and one day you'll watch a future season and you won't know.
Yeah.
And you'll understand.
Yeah, exactly. You won't know, and you'll just be on here saying stuff.
Yeah, you'll just be, we're just, try, talking about a show that we love. Now, do you feel like a vote like the Voce vote? Okay. Where you felt like, okay, that is, not controversial at all. And I mean, maybe for Voce, but in terms of the people that were there, kind of like a open and shut case. Do you feel like, is the show saying, well, how do we make this exciting for people to watch it on television?
Right. And it's like, it's not like I'm saying that there's not arguments either way on something like that, but it's just like, I feel like they go out of their way because they do want it to be surprising to kind of not give you the full logic of what it's going to be. Because if they did that, then what would be the pins and needles, right? So, if you look at this episode, they gave us so much of like, oh, Maryanne's annoying people. And, and a lot, like, I feel like when it came to the discussions around like that, that tribal, pre-tribal scramble, most of what we were getting was like, I don't trust Maryanne. Like they kind of like really try to head you in that direction so that when probably the more obvious thing happens, it does feel like a surprise. And obviously we can get into the specifics of that, but I do feel like they've erred on the side of surprise over explanation.
Yeah, that's a really good point, because I feel like that, if this was a documentary, I think we would have like a better sense of what was going on. If they were covering it, like a sporting event, where, it's not like that they don't show us the score. And then at the end, it's like, oh, the big surprise of who's going to win. You know what the score is. So we only have 42 minutes of time. And I think that this is an interesting point that doesn't get talked about a lot. In that 42 minutes of time, we are also being fed a dose of misinformation to throw us off the scent of what is actually about to happen.
Right. Absolutely. And of course, you also, have that the story is from all these different people's perspective, obviously. And so you can, what I think of now when I'm watching it, having played the show, I went back when I'm watching it and I'm saying, okay, how many times are these anti-Maryanne comments being made with Mariah there? You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Which is therefore not necessarily a real comment. It's something that's being said to throw Mariah off the set. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But it's like they edit it as if this is actually that person's real opinion, which it might be. But, there's so much that they can do to kind of make you not sure what's going to happen,
How weird is it for you to watch season 42, which features many of the same things that you experienced in season 41, now with new players going through? It's like seeing like a new family move into your house.
Yeah. It's honestly so fun. Like it's fun. And I will say, I'll just get it off the top. I feel I've been having a little bit of feelings because I feel like so much of the conversation around season 41 was like, there's all this new stuff. We hate this new season. Not that people hated it, but you know what I mean? I feel like that was the big thing that was the draw. And with 42, everyone's like, well, yeah, there's this stuff, but like we know about it already. We already complained about it. So now we're going to just love these people, which I support. But, maybe on the rewatch 42, you'll forget that you cared so much,
Okay, that's an interesting point. And look, I love when people, are open about their feelings in the podcast, because this is a safe space with me, and I hope that the listeners also all treat it like a safe space.
Oh God, is that
because that would be
for me for that? Is that what you're trying to
No,
say?
I don't think so. I don't think so. But it's interesting because I would feel that way.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, it's like if they did if. I don't have a great comparison, but just a little bit. It's like there was so much time of like, man, we spent so much time learning about the beware advantages, but now 42, you already know what it is. Now you're just like getting to love it,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, the people are saying, oh, we love this cast. Oh, this is so great. And so yeah, that it's like if anything, I've talked about this also, where it's like where now there was too much. It took us like 2 seasons to catch up with everything that they're throwing at them.
Right. Yeah, I feel like it's that. So you just go back and watch 41 again. Now that you figured out the rules.
Yeah. It's like, the classics are all here. The triangles, the Shipwheel Island. Yeah.
Yeah. Our favorite hits, the shot in the dark. Like, yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Evvie, do you feel like that now that you got to watch people play out the triangles, do you feel like that maybe it would have been worth it to give it a shot?
I mean, well, they changed
it. Worked out fine
right?
for you. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, worked out fine. And obviously they changed it, right? Because I think the biggest reason why we didn't do the triangles was that we had one guess.
One guess.
And I didn't like go back and look whether, because I remember there was scenes of them, like, did they think it was 50? And then they were like, let's go 50. We'll add 51 as our other number, like whatever. Like, I think there's a huge difference between having one guess and two guesses. Yeah. And no, it worked out perfect for me because Xander and Voce went off and then I got to make alliances without them.
Yes. You know? So, well, I think the bigger difference than from one guess to two guess was that they only had one person to fill up the water. Could you imagine? Voce would have died.
Right. Well, Xander would have probably done it, you know, but also probably not. Cause like you said, like no one's going to be like, I'm going to go off alone myself, one person all day. Like it's just not going to happen. Yeah. So I feel like, but I mean, I think, I don't know. I think the other thing is I mean, it was a recurrent thing for me personally that I'm not as good at stuff like that as people might think I am. And I didn't want to be like, yeah, sure, we can do the triangles. And then one guess, you're wrong, blame you. So you don't want to be on an island.
Okay. Well, I mean, ideally you want to stay there as long as you can. But that's different. I mean, do you have a favorite player in this season? Or do you not is it too hard? Is it like you'd be like picking one of your children to pick a favorite player?
Yeah, I mean, I'm only 29, you know, almost none of them are my children, you know?
Yes, if you could imagine what that would be like.
Sure. No, I mean, I think I echo everyone that it's a wonderful cast. I think, you know, I mean, it's the coldest take around that Maryanne is wonderful to watch.
Yes.
I also love Lydia. And I mean, if you're not following Lydia on Twitter, what are you doing? I mean,
what are you doing? You're doing Twitter wrong.
You're doing Twitter wrong, just like objectively. Now, but yeah.
Well, let me ask you about Maryanne, because I spoke with Mariah this morning on the exit interview, and Mariah, you know, who said, look, we love Maryanne. Maryanne is great. Maryanne is a lot to handle when you're out there. Would you find Maryanne's personality, which is jumps off the screen on television, would that be difficult to potentially deal with when you're out there on Survivor? Can you deal with that much energy?
Right. No, it's really interesting. And it's like, in retrospect, it's not shocking that was a sentiment. You know, I mean, she's giving us so much that it translates, you know, to TV. But it honestly, a little bit, I mean, kind of different, but it a little bit reminded me of Tiff when people were saying that about her. I don't know if you know about Tiff.
Yes.
Also be a bit of a lot. And I feel like there were definitely times when I was like, oh my God, like, you know, like, especially like the kind of nights that, you know, the things that you're used to as a person, like when you're trying to go to sleep and someone's shouting or whatever. And I could imagine those things happening with Maryanne. But I think also it's like, I mean, for me with Tiff, it was like, this is a lot, but also when I'm broken down and weary, there's someone making me freaking laugh, even though I'm like, stop it, but she's making me laugh. And I feel like Maryanne could definitely be one of those people where it's like, sometimes you're like at your wit's end, but then also you're like everyone smiled when she talked, you know what I mean? And that's, it's not a lot of things can make you smile when you're starving.
Yeah, if you're in the right mood for it, yeah, it definitely could be a pick-me-up. I wonder if she may struggle when we get to sort of a merge situation where, and it's like you have a lot, you know, everybody is, looking for somebody who's going to be standing out. And I feel like that she could definitely be somebody who I think it would be hard for her to ever be under the radar. Yeah,
absolutely. And I definitely think all the Matt chat stuff that's going on, I mean, we've talked about it before, but I think Jeff is obsessed with her, you know, and it's understandable because she's giving amazing stuff. And I think it's just going to be one of those things that, like you said, she's never going to be under the radar. And I do think that's pretty hard to actually win when you're that person.
Who was Jeff's go-to person in season 41? Was it you?
I don't know. I don't know that he had like one person that I really felt that way about. I mean, I felt it as me a lot in that one moment with the puzzle and everything.
Yes.
And that was like, no, Jeff, stop. But like, that was really him being like, I'm into what Evvie's doing here. But yeah, I don't know that there was like one person per se, honestly, which, yeah. Boring answer, but I'm not sure there was one star. I mean, I think he, went to people a lot. I feel like there was some people that he wouldn't go to as much. if he didn't like the answers that were coming out.
Yeah, because they were just like short answers, not like TV friendly answers.
Yeah, exactly. You know, he wants it to pop, which that's how you get a go-to person, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So talk to me a little bit about the decision between Mariah and Maryanne. Did you think there was a chance it was going to be Maryanne?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely did think there was a chance. I feel like the thing that was really freaking me out was when Omar was saying, you know, Maryanne's less trustworthy and all that kind of stuff. Because I had kind of thought, I mean, we also saw some great connecting scenes with Maryanne and Omar, like especially when Maryanne made him the mat for his prayers and stuff. So like that definitely threw me that he was going in that direction. But I also think watching it back, there were several times where people definitely said like, I'm getting annoyed with Maryanne, but there was also times when people said, I love Maryanne. Like, especially Jonathan was saying that he feels really connected with her, that, you know, he really likes her. And you really had no one saying that about Mariah. And I feel like you need to have someone have stake in you staying in the game. And so I feel like that's probably what it came down to.
Yeah. I spoke with Mariah earlier today. Mariah also said that Jackson was, a close person for Mariah. So I think that Jackson leaving the game, I think also was something that ended up hurting Mariah.
Right, definitely. And I think, I mean, and I listened to that, and she was, you know, wonderful on it. And I think she also said, I think she said something where she said that Omar was her next closest person. Like,
but she said they didn't consummate the alliance, and I didn't want to get too personal. That's what does it take to consummate the alliance?
Right. But also, like, I feel like that was also a little bit of a sign for me, because like, I feel like in the episode, the only person that we really saw her with a lot was Lindsay. And there was a lot of like the two of them being annoyed with Maryanne. And so if that wasn't even really her person, that I think just points to, I really think it came down to that, like at the end of the day, Maryanne had better relationships, you know?
Yeah, I think so too. Do you feel like that when we saw Lindsay with Mariah close to the end, do you think that Lindsay was potentially babysitting Mariah and making sure she's not going off looking for the idol?
Yeah, I definitely do. And I think like there was also a time where, because I feel like Lindsay also seemed one of the more anti-Maryanne people, but then like you kind of see her go to Jonathan and Omar, and she's saying like, you know, Mariah has a point, and it's very clear if you really watch it that she's saying Mariah has a point, but then they kind of cut it there. So I definitely think it was probably, I mean, ultimately it was a unanimous vote, right? So I think Lindsay was on board.
Do you think that Maryanne is toast if they go to another tribal council?
I mean, it certainly seems that way. And I think from Mariah's exit interview, it also seemed like, you know, she didn't do a great job of handling the Shipwheel Island comeback story.
Yeah, Maryanne,
that Maryanne didn't. Yeah. So I think, I mean, it seems like the target could be on her back. Clearly people were down to consider letting her go. But you just never know what can actually happen with these dynamics. Like, so it's 4 people now. Yeah, I mean, it seems like she could be the odd one out, but maybe if you're Omar and you know that Jonathan and Lindsay are super close, but Jonathan's your number one, like maybe you don't want Lindsay there anymore. You know, like I feel like you have to consider from everyone's perspective, right?
Yeah. We've seen 2 times now, Shot in the Dark has been played in this season. Is that wild for you that, you know, the Shot in the Dark was, you know, I mean, nobody played it up until that vote where, you know, potentially you were saved by the Shot in the Dark. You love the Shot in the Dark.
Well, yeah. Yeah, it's true. I do.
Yeah. But was it back to back?
Yeah. It's wild. Don't you want it to work one time? I really want to see it happen.
Yes.
Yeah. But not in my case. Really
not in your case. Did you think it was interesting that Jeff has started reading the Shot in the Dark votes himself?
Yeah, that was funny. I think the rhythm wasn't right, you know, when the individuals were doing it, but it is kind of funny because you're like, Jeff, I'm playing. I mean, I guess that's what you do with an idol, but it just seems, it's funny. It's like you just can't read it yourself. But Jeff, you know, he loves to read parchment.
Yeah, no, I thought it worked better. It's more dramatic where they're going to stand up and then like you have these amateurs trying to get the string off, and then are they holding it up in the right spot? Like, leave it to the pro.
Yeah, I mean, and he is, you know, he's one taking it all. He's doing that. But no, it is so funny. I mean, I think it really makes sense. Like, I think I mean, if you look at the early votes in my season, I really do feel like these earlier votes are when it does make more sense. I mean, especially, I mean, it only makes sense to do if it's going to be a landslide against you, right? Because I think there were so many votes in my season. Like if you think of, I know Sarah in my season talked about how she did think about using the shot in the dark, but then it wasn't unanimous. Like, so it, you don't know if your vote's going to matter in some of those situations. So I think obviously really good on Zach and Mariah for both. I mean, they played it right. They just got the wrong scroll, But I think the fact that they played it right, even though it didn't work, will likely mean that it will get played again. I really think, because the fact that Sydney played it and basically that got her out really was a deterrent. Like, I think after she did that, no one was going to play their shot in the dark, because it was just like, you don't want that to happen to you.
Yeah. I wonder if the shot in the dark is a thing that, would naturally be played more in the pre-merge as opposed to something that gets played in the post-merge. But because of the tribe with, I'm sorry, Ua. Yes. I still know Yasa, but Ua, because Shannon and Ricard were so good at blindsiding everybody. I mean, just that one tribal council with Voce was the only other time that we have get to see anybody else go to a tribal council.
No, and Abraham.
Abraham.
Which honestly, I feel like Abraham, I mean, he just really believed his own perspective on what was happening. But I was so worried he was going to use it, because I don't think we were until the shot in the dark was introduced, which didn't happen until the challenge when then he went home later that day. We were not being that secret. I felt that he was going to be, the one out. So I feel like that's probably the spot where it could have been used in the premier. But I think the thing is, yes, Shannon and Ricard were really good at blindsides. And I feel like there were just sides, you know what I mean? Where it was in every one of those votes, someone voted with the person that went home pretty much, right? Mm-hmm. So I feel like people always thought okay, well, this person's definitely voting with me, so I'm not going to leave them hanging by not using my vote, because maybe we have the numbers, you know what I mean? So I feel like when you have it's only when you have these, it's really obvious that your vote's not either everyone's with you or they're all against you,
Mm-hmm. So I wanted to talk to you a little bit about the beware advantage, because I thought we had some emergent strategy this week where Mike found the beware advantage, and similar to Xander, Mike was showing people about that he found the beware advantage. And so he shows it to Daniel. And we see Daniel talk to Chanel about how we do not want there to be idols in the game. How can we stop this from happening? Was this ever a thought that occurred to you as Xander comes to you and says, hey, look, I found this beware advantage?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I loved that. Daniel, great, very creative, loved it. I have to say, they definitely changed the rules a little bit, though. Because Xander was told that he had to say it at that first one. And actually, at first, they told him he has to say it every time. And we thought he was going to have to say his.
What happens if he don't?
I don't know. What happens if you violate a rule on Survivor? And I don't know.
Yeah.
But then they decided he didn't have to say it every time, because that doesn't really make sense. So maybe this is the next level of you just completely do get to decide when you get to say it, which I think is, a great iteration. It doesn't change that much. And
you shouldn't have to say it.
Of course. And it was very silly that Xander had to say it the second time, before anyone else said it. Cause no, there's no reason why he would do that. And he didn't want to do it. He's wise in that way. So I like the change. And very creative of Daniel. I think, in what we saw, I feel like he played it really well with saying to Mike, you're safe. So don't activate it now or whatever, how long can that possibly work though?
Right.
Right. And if one of the people on the other tribes says it and Daniel is still pushing Mike to not say it, I feel like that's going to be a red flag for Mike. Maybe Daniel will play it off, but how do you stop someone from getting their vote back? Dan and I, obviously,
Yeah. I think the only thing you could do is voting. You have to vote Mike out if you really don't want it to happen. If you really don't want there to be idols, and then just hope that the idol doesn't fall back into the wrong hands, or or on as far as your tribe is concerned.
Right. It's and Yeah, I was very, I mean, it didn't occur to me that I could affect the activation potential, which maybe I literally couldn't with the way the rules were. But I feel like the optimal strategy, no matter what, is make the person feel really comfortable with you so that you can, either they get the idol and you blindside them, or you blindside them and you could get the idol, right? That's the only way for those to work out on your side. But I loved it. And it's going to be so fun in 43 if they have it again. Now someone's seeing both what happened with the 41 beware and the 43. Like, it is, I mean, evolution of strategy, man. Like, this, it's really fun. Like,
it's always moving. Yeah. So what do you think they can do with that in season 43? Do you think that this could just be like sort of like a one and done for the, year that this is happening? Or do you think that there is a way to evolve this?
Oh, I mean, I really hope that they keep, I mean, maybe it's hard because then when you have like goofy phrases, now everyone's going to be so on alert for like phrases or whatever, but like, I would keep it. I think it's a really fun way to make sure that there's not like an insane number of idols. And then you have this kind of, it's always more fun when some people do know about the idols. So I don't know. I really hope they keep it. And it would be really fun to see, how the emergent strategy goes. Like, maybe someone will actually manage to not tell anyone on their tribe and, seamlessly work it in. And the Daniel thing blows my mind. Like, now there's so many more iterations than you could have thought of before.
I feel like if they were going to try it again, I feel like that what they might do is like change where you would do it. Like, what if you made it like at tribal and made it like after the merge, where now I like at the merge feast, like two people find a thing and then they have to say something at tribal to activate the idols.
That's fun. Or maybe they have to do something like say it. Like, it was so fun when Xander said that, I like what you said about broccoli. Like, maybe there's something where you have to like find someone else in the game and like say a thing to them and they have to say it back to you, or like, and then you have a scene where someone just goes up to someone else and is like, so soccer makes you cry, right? And they have no idea what you're talking about. That could be good.
Yeah, that would be fun. I think that you probably want the danger of detection where you have where people can like you have to do it in front of everybody to like can you get away with this? And I feel like that's really also baked into the amulet advantage that we saw in last week's episode. Did you like this new twist that the Survivor 41 cast didn't have to deal with?
Yeah, I think it's really fun. I mean, in general, I don't love when there's like a fake choice, like where it was like, you can decide whether to take this amulet or not. It's like, literally, why would you not take a thing when there's no, what I mean? And there's not even risk of like that you could be behind in the challenge because everybody else had to wait there for you. You know what I mean? I feel like they could have made it it would have been fun if they didn't have to wait for all each other. And then it was like, you had to decide whether you wanted your tribe to win the challenge more, whatever. But I think as a concept, I mean, it's definitely fun. I mean, like everyone's been saying, I mean, the chances of 3 people coming together to use an extra vote seem very low. But I think it will be really interesting to see if these people do end up going after each other. I mean, someone's ultimately going to be the last one and get an idol, right? Or I guess if like 2 of them are in the final 6, maybe not. But I think I definitely think it will have an interesting effect on the merge situation.
Yeah. Do you feel like that the work together or go after each other is also a false choice?
I mean, kind of. I think you could I think it's interesting because I think in terms of the actual what you get, right? Definitely it's worth it to get someone out if you get an idol, right? Or if you're leveling up that thing. But I also think from my experience on 41, when you're in a situation, when you get to the merge and there is no swap, right? I feel like certainly I was, everyone saw it, very much clinging to the fact that it's like, I knew Deshaun because I had met him, and I feel like that was definitely a thing. Like, Xander was very much like, I know Danny, like we went on the summit, and, Tiff and Sydney even, who like didn't even like each other on the summit, then were like best friends. So I feel like you're kind of I could definitely see that even though they're wary of each other, maybe there is some amount of like, we have this secret together. So I do want to actually have a relationship with this person. I don't know. I think it'll be really interesting to see how that pans out.
Yeah, it's a good point. And, it's sort of like, okay, we have, this relationship, like the Exile Alliance of like, okay, well, this could be huge if we make this work. This is our like secret weapon that nobody's going to see coming.
Right. And imagine, if they end up doing like a split tribal council again, like they had in 41, like I feel like you could definitely see like a steal a vote, mattering a lot if it ends up happening there. So
Yeah.
Circling back to the beware for real quick, I just want to say, I feel like, okay, a minor hot take. I think that, like, obviously
there are no minor hot takes.
Yeah. Well, okay, you tell me how hot the take is after. Okay. Everyone's griping about, don't tell people about your advantages as a survivor. Like, yes, I think that's accurate, but it's also just so hard. It's like pretty much seems like very impossible to do. I think the new era information I can provide is don't show other people the rules of your new era advantage.
Okay.
Because I think the best thing you have going for you when you get one of these weird things is being the only one to know the rules, And I think what we saw in my season, what we're seeing again, is when you actually give someone else the ability to read the rules, now they potentially have more power than you. Like Daniel understood it maybe even better than Mike, or at least, has all the information that he can now like riff off it. You saw when when Mike told Jenny, it seems like Mike and Jenny are super tight, but she didn't have the full level of all the information of how it works and all the other phrases and everything like that. It was the same thing. Xander let me read his paper. Liana let me read the Knowledge is Power paper. And like having those full set of rules, the full download, let me beat them. You know what I mean? In that thing. Xander beat me in the game and Liana beat me in the game. But I beat them at that one advantage that time.
So I love what you're saying.
Yeah.
How do you execute on that? Where when Daniel says, okay, do you have the clue? Or does he say, I lost it? We don't have time for that right now. Like, how do you make people?
Well, I think as a starting point, I don't know that you need to tell anyone at that. I think in that moment, you don't need to tell anyone that you might as well just say like, I found a thing, or, okay, now I'm back to, it's not good to tell people in general, but maybe you just say you have an idol, but then they might, okay. So you say you lost your vote until, I don't really know. Okay, let's workshop this, Rob. What do you do? How do you
I guess, all right. Do you want to be the survivor or should I be the
other thing is, okay, when you're the person, I would say, and it depends on the person, but I was, the one that was receiving the information. I wasn't necessarily pushing for the paper, and I feel like Mike went out of his way to be like, I want you to workshop this with me. Like, you know what I mean? But he could have just said his interpretation.
Say you have the thing, but don't show the thing. I think the fork in the road is, hey, can I see it?
Right. Okay. Hey, can I see it? And then you're just like, I don't want to get caught. We'll get caught with it. Like, I'll show you later. I don't know. Delay that. That's what I would say. But that's sketchy.
Yeah.
That's sketchy.
I think then people start to wonder, like, is this fake? Is this real?
Right. The other weird thing, and I don't know if this is the case now, is that Xander's Beware idol came with both the Beware advantage rules and a regular idol set of information. Has anyone told you that before?
No, I think this is news.
Yeah, so it was really weird. It had two papers. And that's why, he had those in his bag. And that's why when Tiff and Liana looked in his bag, that was part of the paranoia, because then they thought maybe he had two idols because he had these two separate papers, but they were both with the Beware. They both came with the Beware idol. So I wonder if Survivor is trying to allow people to pretend it was a regular idol, maybe. I don't know. I don't know if they kept that, but I don't know if that will apply in every situation.
Yeah, but that seems like a lot. It seems like a lot to, unpack for the show.
Yeah, right.
For the people at home also.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think you just say, like, here are the rules. I buried it. We don't let me explain it to you if you have to. But I really think you're just giving away so much power when you show someone, because even like the fine print that the other person, that you don't necessarily realize,
Because I think that somewhere along the way where, there were, around like HHH, like Ghost Island, like I think it sort of became commonplace to say when it was like a lot of like, I guess like David Wright comes along, is making a bunch of fake idols and stuff like that. And people are like, all right, well, if it's an idol, let me see the note. Like that became sort of like, that's like Survivor, like basic stuff that say, if somebody has an idol, you have to say, let me see the note, or it's not real.
Right. Yeah, maybe you show them just the Beware thing, and then you say like, oh, I burned it. I burned the paper so that no one would know my phrase. But I'm just telling you. I don't know.
Could you rip part off, Evvie? Is that allowed?
You could, but I feel like that's really obvious,
Yeah.
Because the other thing is that the paper, at least the one Xander had, it had all the phrases. So now like Mike has the potential that he could, be the one to chat with someone like, oh, we're connected. Or Daniel now could know everybody else in the game that has the idols,
I have another question for you about the note. I feel like in your season that on the note, the other phrases were written, correct?
Yes.
Do you know if is that the case with the Survivor 42 idol?
Ooh, I don't know. I'm sure someone screenshotted it.
I guess it must have them, because then how would you know what to say?
Yeah, I guess it must, because you have to know, because you have to be clued in of like, now I should say it because other people did, right? By the way, it seems in the next time on Survivor, I feel like it was hinting that Maryanne finds another one. It seems to be the thing.
Yes.
Which, is there anyone who will have an easier time working something crazy into a match?
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
He looks like every white guy I've had a crush on. Like, that could have been a phrase.
That easily could have been a phrase. I mean, how about that for Zach?
Wow. It truly incredible. Like, how that's got to make him feel good, right? Like, you would think you're the first boot, you're pretty down on yourself, and then you find out someone in the game loves you. It's awesome.
Like, I mean, that's really incredible, and good for Zach.
So funny. I wonder how much. I mean, it sounds like Mariah told him that was a thing, but that must have been so fun to watch back, like, for him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it came up both at the challenge and at the tribal council.
Yeah, and just, I don't know what the state of that is. Maybe that's...
Yeah, I don't want to get spoiled.
Yeah, but I just want to say, if you're a man out there who's rejected Maryanne, what the heck are you doing? Like, snooze you lose on that one. Like, she's going places, guys.
Yeah. Boy, I mean, what a great story this would be, though, for Zach and Maryanne.
I mean, she said it herself. Imagine you get to the finale but that's the other thing. We don't even have a finale, maybe that's why this couldn't happen, because it wouldn't have the dramatic reveal later,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's too bad.
I gotta say, I mean, I feel like in general, I'm of the vibe of like, I don't feel like, Survivor's making a push towards younger players. And I just feel like almost everyone would be better at Survivor when they're older. But like the romance little plot lines that have not actually translated to anything, but between Maryanne and Zach, and we had obviously the little, the little something, whatever that was with Liana and Xander, like the youngins, they bring it,
Right. Like, we don't have too many later days romances on Survivor.
Unfortunately.
It almost has never happened, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a thing that, as those days go on, you realize it's maybe not the best format for that, but how good
maybe the closest we ever came maybe was like Coach and Jerry had like a little bit of like a flirtmance on Heroes versus Villains.
That's true. And that was kind of cool, because it was like, yeah, they're a little older, but they're hot as hell, That's my thing. Wow.
Yeah.
Jerry? Yeah. Anyway,
yeah.
Yeah, I do. It's really, really fun, And now, okay, next evolution, we've got so many queer players. Let's get a queer love story going. That's what I'm looking for.
That would be the dream, right?
That truly, wow. That's my dream. I mean,
yeah.
I not for me. I'm
yes, not obviously not. Yes.
Off the market, but make it happen. My girl Lydia out there, room for it,
Yes. You mentioned earlier, and I read that you were interviewed also in an article where you said that Lydia, you felt like that you related to Lydia so much.
Yeah, it's funny, and it's not that it's not that I think that me and Lydia are that the like similar per se, but I feel like just the energy she's bringing, it's just like the kind of like fun person that I like get to experience on some level in my regular life that I just like never, like, it's so funny that there's this like rave kid on Survivor. You know what I mean?
Are you a rave kid?
Not at all. But it's like, yeah, that's the thing. It's not like, I feel like there's people that have been maybe more, like, I think Lyrsa's probably on some level more like similar to me in some ways, but there's just something about Lydia's energy that I'm just like obsessed with, you know? And it's just like really, really fun to me that she's on the show. And it's just, you know, that's the cool thing about the diversity casting. You can have like wannabe 29-year-old ravers that don't even know that that's what they want, and then they see Lydia on the show.
Wait, you're a wannabe raver?
I don't know, but she makes it seem so fun.
Yeah. Wow. I didn't even know people were still raving.
Me either, Rob. You know, I kind of did, I guess. Is that I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. Oh my God. So you were interviewed for Distractify.
Yes.com,
an article talking about diversity in the latest season of reality TV.
Yes. Yeah, I was. And I feel like, you know, by the way, yeah, check it out. I'm also going to be doing a weekly, there's a great reporter out there. She's going to be asking me weekly my
Survivor takes. Yeah.
Survivor takes, which I'm sure will all be, you know, quite wrong. And I'm sorry, my girlfriend just texted me. She wants everyone out here to know I have raved before. I've been to a rave. It's true.
You, Evvie, have been to a rave.
I have been to a rave. I was afraid.
What goes on at a rave, Evvie?
Well,
for us later days,
you know, I would say ideally you get pumped up, Rob.
Get pumped up, yeah.
You know, and there's music, there's dancing,
EDM.
Yep. Other acronyms might happen, you know. And it's a good time. But
yeah.
I went to, so there's this one sorry, this has gone totally off. Let's circle back to
this is where we're in exactly the right place.
Okay. You know, now that Survivor is international, the US one is international. We got our Canadians. Yep. Twice in my life, I've been to the Igloo Fest in Montreal, which is a really.
Can I Google this?
Google it. It's a really fun outdoor rave in Montreal in like January, which is obviously freezing. And are you seeing pictures?
Okay, Igloo Fest 2020. I mean, that's COVID safe, right? If they're outside, right?
Yeah, it's outside.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's freezing cold, but you're in like snowsuits and you're, you know, probably on some substances. Yeah. And it was one of the funnest nights of my life. I will say.
Okay.
Yeah, wow. It's fun. Yeah.
Evvie. Yeah, I didn't know you had this side to you.
Yeah. You know, I got a lot going on, Rob.
Yeah, feel good for you.
Multitudes.
Yeah. at Igloo Fest.
Igloo Fest. It's really fun. Yeah.
It looks wild.
Yeah.
I see a guy in the do you wear costumes?
Well, I wore a giant pink snowsuit. You know, you gotta stay warm in the freezing.
Yes, yes. I see somebody who was wearing a Monsters Inc. costume.
Okay. Yeah, I can see that. I can see that.
Okay. So, all right. So thank you for telling me about the Igloo Fest.
Thank you to Carmel for reminding me.
Yes. But I'm sorry. So go on. What were you saying?
I don't really remember.
The diversity of the cast. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's amazing. I mean, and you know, I think it's just so clear that when you have a more diverse cast, there's more people for everyone to root for. You know, it's just so fun.
Well, that's the problem this season. We have too many people to root for.
Right.
We don't have anybody to root against.
Literally. And then you have the people that you think you might, like you get your Jonathans and you're like, he's going to be just like, but no, he's awesome.
He's wonderful.
Yeah. Yeah. It's great. You know? And I think you said this in the exit and we're like, it is so hard in these 6-person tribes. Like, I mean, everyone that gets cast is going to be amazing. And it's just so you don't have to do anything wrong to get out on a 6-person tribe, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I do hope that they go back to doing some bigger tribes in the future. You know, 3 tribes, you know, it's fine once in a while, but it's just like, you know, sometimes just the ball doesn't bounce your way. And there's really not a lot you can do.
And you got to protect the balls, Rob.
You got to protect the balls. Yes, you do. Thank you, Daniel. But it's very important. Evvie, now I know you have great notes, of course. You are, you know, an accomplished scientist. You have incredible research. I am dying to know what other takeaways did you have from this week on Survivor?
Okay. Okay. Well, here's a generic. I have a section in my notes called "Big Picture New Era"
Big picture, new era.
I'm a visitor from the new era here. An ambassador.
The first member of the new era to join us to break down an episode.
I'm very excited, and that's also so fun because I can say whatever I want, and no one has contradicted me yet. But then you'll have Tiffany and Voce were on why blank lost, and if you've ever wanted to hear a bunch of people yell at each other for a while, you should
yes
check that out. Okay, well, here's just a general thought, and this is more big picture, and then I have some smaller picture. Okay, but I feel like I've heard, and I feel like Gabby in the recap was, and I feel like it's a very common thought of like, new era is just like, it's random, and it's also like, the gameplay is so fast and blah, blah, blah. But I feel like, and I really am curious if this feels true, and maybe it's just because I was on the season that I feel this way, but okay, I feel like there was a time in the late 30s that Survivor was much more game body than it was in season 41. Mm-hmm. Like I think of like season 38, especially Edge of Extinction, where there was like, feels like there was a whole stretch of the merge where it was like, are there alliances? Are there sides? Or is it just like someone makes a move and then everyone gets them out? And it's like Wentworth was War Dog's like number one ally, and he just like got her out kind of for no reason. You know what I mean? Like I feel like there was this very like game body relationships don't really matter that much.
So do you feel like that people say that season 41 was a game body season of Survivor?
I don't know if it was Gamebot that people are saying, but just like that it was kind of, that it's like, it's all gameplay. It's like, you know what I mean? It's just like fast and random. And I don't know, I guess maybe random was more the thing that I was reflecting on. But I feel like in general, I've heard, like, do relationships matter in this era of Survivor? Like, does, you know what I mean? Does stuff like that matter anymore?
Yeah.
And I think, no, please.
And so so your take is that you feel like that relationships matter more than they did, say, a couple seasons ago.
Yeah, I think that what happens when, I feel like the two things that are really different is like, first of all, you have this faster paced game with a lot more unknowns, right? Like these people don't know what's going to happen. They don't know if there's going to be a swap. There's never been 26 days. They don't know if there's going to merge. They don't know that the
monster, Evvie.
They don't know that there's, that they actually seem to know that there is a monster.
Yeah, they told them, Jeff told them on the mat. And I recall that you told me when we talked about your game that you heard for the first time at the, makeshift reunion about the monster. Yeah. Like, what is this?
Yes,
what
exactly.
Monster?
The monster, it was born towards the end of 41 and it came fresh to 42.
Yeah.
So I feel like when you have all that uncertainty and you have this quicker thing, I feel like the relationships actually matter a lot more. That's kind of my feeling, because like, if you think like, and because it's faster, you have less time to stew. You know what I mean? Like maybe in
the stew, Evvie. You had to bring up the stew. You undersold the stew.
Stew era. It's the stew era of Survivor.
He makes the pizza. Yep.
Yeah. But is this making any sense? I feel like, I don't know.
Yeah. So Steven and I were talking a little bit about the pairs on right. It came up like under do or dies or ride or dies, not do or dies. That's only Deshaun. It's the do or die. That there were a lot of pairs in your season where if you go back to say like the Edge of Extinction, there were people that were working in pairs, but they often like betrayed each other.
Right. And I think there were a lot of important relationships in season 41. It seems like they're developing in 42. And I feel like part of it is also when you have this diversity casting, there is kind of this, I remember Steven was saying, that it's kind of funny that people are, or not funny, but like, that it seems so different to him that people are just like, here's my story, here's my thing. But I think this, because there is this push now, to have, people with more diverse stories, I feel like we all came in thinking, what is everyone's story? You know what I mean? I certainly came in thinking like, I'm here and I want to talk about like being queer. Like I do want to, and that's part of a reason why I wanted to be here. And it's part of a reason why they cast me on the show. So I'm definitely going to talk about that, and I feel like that also led to when you are going in there and you're going to talk about like these intense things, when you go in there, you know, for someone like Omar going to talk about, you know, being Muslim and what that means to him, and then have it being met by, you know, people of other religions. Like, I just feel like it lends itself to kind of going really deep, really quick. And obviously you saw that with the Black Alliance on my season. And so I feel like some, like those things make these like, it makes it harder to vote people out. You know what I mean? It makes it harder to play in that kind of more game body way.
Mm-hmm. I wonder if it also has to do with, I feel like that there was maybe not as much talk about resume in season 41, where I feel like that some of the seasons, like late 30s, there's a lot of like thinking about like, oh, what's my resume? You know, what am I doing to sort of like when I stand in front of the jury?
That is very true. Yeah. And I feel like, yeah, it's interesting. I feel like it really, yeah, it feels like there was a kind of sense of like, we're looking, you know, we had a shared feeling of like what it means to be like good in this game. And it was very, like, I think it was very much on the like social connections and things like that. You know, you see someone like Shan, who's such a, you know, social player, and was, I feel like, yeah, it's interesting. It was not like, what did you do? It was kind of, who are you and what are you doing? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I think on this, I think also in terms of when it, you know, came down to the ultimate like jury phase, I think also the fact that it is shorter, like these events that happened way closer to Final Tribal than in a typical 39-day season. So I think also some of the emotions and the hurt feelings and things like that are rawer potentially, just because it's literally been less time. And I think that maybe added some element of like personalness that maybe is less if you have, you know, 2 weeks to be, you know, thinking about something versus, you know, a week or something.
Okay. Big picture, new era. I'm on board.
Okay, think about it. You know, that's from one person's new era experience. We'll be curious to see how that goes.
Yes. Okay.
Okay. All right. Let's go for some small picture.
Small picture, new era.
Okay. That crab, big picture, the crab that Chanel and Jenny got. Big crab moving so slow.
Big fat juicy crab. Yeah, because Tiffany
crab.
Tiffany, you know, has told us on many occasions about how she was the great crab hunter. Well, if the Yasa crabs were anything like that, that is nothing to brag about.
No, they were not like that. I must insist that was a very slow. Like, I was worried about that crab. Like, what's going on? Yeah, you know. But
there's something wrong with it.
Yeah, it looked great. Oh, can we talk a little about the high veganism?
Please, yeah.
Wow. First of all, loved it. Really interesting. I mean, you don't think about when they're going to do something like change up that there's not going to be rice. You don't think about how it's going to differentially impact people, right? And obviously, you know, someone who doesn't eat meat, that's going to impact him so much more. I really wonder. So there's obviously the element of how is it going to affect him physically. I mean, it seems like he ultimately did eat the crab, right?
Right.
I really wonder if that's going to have an impact on him socially in any way. Because I mean, I was thinking about it, and I feel like the times when we had food, it's like the happiest time. Yes. You know, it's like if we had one of those big juicy crabs, we would have been like so happy
big
and just
fat juicy crabs.
Yeah. Fat juicy crabs.
Yes.
You know, we would have been so happy and just like been like talking about how happy we were having the crab, blah, blah. And then you have one person who, for completely understandable personal reasons, is conflicted.
Yeah.
And you kind of, that scene was very interesting. You know, like they're all standing up and like excited, and Hai's kind of sitting down. So I really wonder how that's going to play out.
Now, in season 41, were there any vegans? Was Shan vegan?
Yes. So Shan is vegan in life, but she, in preparation for Survivor, ate some fish and things like that.
Do you think that Survivor should tell Hai, and is this unfair, that should he get to make that choice before he comes to play to know that as a vegan, that this is a season that you are not going to have any rice?
That is really interesting.
If he's coming in thinking like, hey, well, I'm a vegan, I'm just going to eat the rice.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's honestly a fair point. Like, and you can imagine, I was thinking about like, so I grew up kosher. When I stopped keeping kosher before, you know, a couple years before my Survivor time. But, you know, you think about someone, you know, if you had someone who is keeping kosher or something like that, and you think like, hi, I'll eat the rice and it won't be as much food as everyone else, but I'll be okay. And then you have this curveball where it's like, you literally, cannot really play the game if you don't eat things that you want to eat. It's hard. I mean, I think realistically, if you're going on Survivor, you should probably expect that you might have to eat shell. I mean, I think the rice is not that much, right? You probably really need to be eating other things if you can get them. But yeah, that's interesting. I mean, what do you think? You think it's ethics?
Yeah, I don't know. I wonder if maybe if they might, when Hai is applying and he's vegan, if they say to Hai, like, hey, we don't give rice every single season, and just hope that that's a possibility. Like, I think that I think that would be a good thing to say to Hai, so Hai doesn't like say like, oh, okay, well, if that's the case, then I'm out. I can't do this.
Yeah, super true. And I think the food stuff in general, I mean, obviously, they wanted to make it really hard and everything, but I think there's a variety of different types of people that it would really impact to be like surprised the food situation is really different than you might anticipate. And obviously I know I was trying to make it hard, but like, I there are people out there who like have had, eating disorders and things like that. And then to find out that your food is restricted in a way that you don't anticipate, like it can really mess with people.
Yeah.
And I get it, that's the show, but
yeah, I say, who cares? Who cares with all this, whether it's no food or a little food, just give them something to eat. Well, it's not like, it is not adding so much to the show to, just like, it's less fun, I find, to watch it on TV that they have nothing.
I mean, and then you give us no rice and tell us that it's like the hardest season ever. And then we say that on camera and everyone makes fun of us.
Then we use to debate.
So it's a lose-lose all around. I mean, and they didn't even show, I was throwing up like every day in the pre-merge.
Why?
From like run down his stuff? From like being so empty, I really feel like, and they didn't even show that. That was great suffering content,
Yeah, it's just like, who is this for? Well, I mean, we don't need to watch like this torture porn. Like, give people like a little bit of food. They're still going to be super hungry. They're still going to go nuts when you say it's an Applebee's for the reward, and give them enough that they can function.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, and even like I feel like the rewards were obviously way less on season 41, and I assume they will be for 42. And it's just like, isn't part of the fun that they're all starving and then you give them something freaking awesome and they're like freaking out, It's not that fun to have people be like, grilled cheese. I mean, I like grilled cheese, but
yeah, it's fine. If you say it like Jeff,
grilled cheese.
Yeah,
it's no stew, Rob.
No. I mean, you totally undersold the stew. So, all right. Well, any other small takes? Okay.
Well, this is a middle take. I mean, Daniel and Chanel, obviously.
Hope it's not a mid take.
What's a mid take?
Mid, it's not that good.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Okay.
No.
Okay. I have nothing to respond to that, so I'm just gonna say my thing.
Yes.
Okay, Daniel and Chanel. I mean, we already talked about that Daniel and his creative thinking with the idol. I really like that. I also feel like a subtle thing was that when Hai was having his moment, Chanel and Daniel were the two that were with him, comforting him. So that I really feel like Daniel and Chanel are like the middle pair in that tribe and are just like in such a good spot because you've got like Mike telling them stuff, you've got them comforting Hai.
I think that those two are in a pretty good spot, just from like an amateur edit reading perspective. Also, like I feel like that when we saw the pairs, I feel like that the focus of the three pairs was on Daniel narrating that okay, well, I'm gonna pair up with Chanel.
Definitely. And I was also kind of worried about that because I was like, are these two just pairing up because they're the last two? But it seems like they're really like a pair, Yeah.
So, yeah. And a very functional pair.
Yeah. Okay. Here's a random different thing. Did you know, Rob, that Jeff Probst loves love?
So this is, he has on occasion, been around love. He certainly, he offered to perform wedding services for Figgy and Taylor.
Right.
Famously, he's loved being around Rob and Amber.
So I feel like typically he is confused about love and needs people to describe it.
Oh, that's true. Yes, yes. He does love seeing, what's it like to love a brother?
It's not a parent, Rob.
Not a parent. Yeah.
So I love that. I mean, that was great. Give us the Jeff Probst Love Island hosting. That, I'm here for that.
Yeah, that could be very good.
I mean, he's good at hot dummies on islands. Like he's
he's had a lot of experience, and it seems like that. The Jeff. Actually, can I ask a question? And tell me if you think I'm out of bounds here. But the Jeff that you experienced in Survivor 41, he seemed to be a kinder, gentler, more warm overall Jeff. Now, did you find that to always be the case during the production of season 41?
I honestly really did. And I feel like, you listen to enough of these things. There's definitely some like rumors of him being not nice. And I really
I want to say like stern at certain points where in some of the down moments of like, hey, look, we're doing this. Don't stop screwing up.
Right. I will say, okay, the sternest I experienced him was being on the jury. He hates when the jury's too loud. So there's definitely some
understandable.
Understandable.
Maybe he's just getting more mellow in the later days.
I think that's one of the later days side effects potentially. I mean, I think also there was such a feeling from him on 41 of just how ecstatic he was that the show was back.
To be back.
And, and I'm just sure that the year off and figuring out like all the different logistics and everything was so hard and frustrating for him as like the executive producer and everything. I think he's just like really freaking happy about the show. And I think also he loves people that love Survivor. And now they're like only casting people that love Survivor,
Yeah.
So I feel like some of the meanest era of Jeff is people that are just like don't care.
Right. The people that don't get the show, like aren't giving them anything. And now you put people on the show that only are like Maryanne and like ecstatic to be there.
Right. And also I think he's much more involved in casting now than he used to be, And I think again, like if they're selecting for people that Jeff likes, he's gonna be happier. Yeah.
Do you feel like that having Jeff involved in the casting, he's more invested in the players in these seasons as opposed to the people that they just sort of like, I think he always like had a say, but there were people that were not necessarily his picks.
I definitely think so. And, to know that he talked to you, he had he listened to all your stuff and like had an investment in you. It definitely just like, I feel like he's more invested in you and you are more comfortable with him on some level. Right. Which just makes for a warmer vibe.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anything else from the notes, Evvie?
Okay. I can't get all the way. I can't let this go. As you know, Rob, you're very gracious and always calling me Dr. Evvie Jagoda. The listeners probably know I have a PhD in human evolutionary biology.
Yes.
And my boy Darwin was mentioned on Survivor.
Yes.
And I would like to talk about it.
Please do.
Okay. So at Tribal Council, should I read these quotes?
So let me set up. So we have a clip here. So this is from Tribal Council, and so here is Omar talking about what is he referencing?
Just the situation, them being at Tribal Council.
Okay, all right, here we go. Let's listen in on Omar at Tribal Council.
The bookend to coming out here and feeling like you can bond with people is that now you feel some level of moral obligation to be a little more honest than you might want to be, but you can't be too honest.
Yeah, right. Like you don't want to lie to their face, but at the same time, it's like Darwin's theory of evolution. Like there's a selection pressure on us now, especially with the shot in the dark, where everybody has to think that they're safe, but not everybody is going to be safe.
Jonathan, if it's a natural selection.
Let's take them one at a time.
Okay. All right. Yes. The selection theory.
Okay. So, let's all, I just want to,
selection pressure.
Selection pressure. Okay. So first of all, just PSA, evolution is a theory like gravity is a theory. Theory in science means it's fact. It's just, you can't it's not a law, but it's really, really factual.
We're not here to debate evolution.
Cool.
On the podcast. Yeah.
Omar, he's a veterinary doctor. He obviously knows about evolution. I'm not trying to nitpick him, but I don't really know what this analogy means. And I perked up, Rob. This is my dream come true.
Yes.
It's Survivor. Darwin is here. I'm raring to go. And it's just there's a selection pressure on us now, especially with the shot in the dark, where everybody has to think they're safe, but not everyone's going to be safe. It's not doing it for me, Rob, because a selection, there's some lot. Okay. Selection pressure is the reason why some of the individuals have to die. There's some environmental, that's just the survival of the fittest. Not everyone is going to survive and reproduce the same amount because there's pressures on us that are going to make some individuals more fit than others. That's the starting premise. And the shot, so in the survivor analogy, okay, so someone's got to be voted off, and there's maybe more of a selection pressure because there's a shot in the dark. But then he goes to everybody thinks they're safe, but not everyone's going to be safe. We've lost it, and I'm getting into it. We've lost it though.
I think that you're probably on these tribal councils. It's 5 days in. You're not really eating. We get into the word salad a little bit.
I agree. And I think
with Zach, it sounded good when I said it.
Yeah, I think that's right. And I think as someone who I think people were often trying to get to say evolution metaphors, I probably thought about these a lot more than the average tribal counselor. But who has had food, Rob?
Jeff.
And Jeff has had food. So I would like to go to the next part of this.
Okay. All right.
Us now, especially with the shot in the dark, where everybody has to think that they're safe, but not everybody is going to be safe.
Okay.
Jonathan, if it's a natural selection or if it's survival of the fittest, you're basically saying, how do I make sure I don't come back here? By keeping the people who are with me strong enough to win challenges. That's really
okay.
Okay. So actually, I think
what's wrong with that, Evvie?
Okay. Actually, the first part of it from an evolution metaphor was pretty good, right? Because I think natural selection operates on the individual, right? You want to be the most fit because if you're the most fit, you're going to have the most offspring and then your genes will be passed on the most, right? So
in survivor terms, you get to play more and more times.
Exactly.
Yes, multiple appearances in future.
Well,
yes.
You might have, different goals like Maryanne and Zach.
Or they cast more archetypes that are just like you because you're such a good character.
Yes. Wow. Oh,
yes.
That's next level, right? Okay, but then Jeff really puts his hand on the scale and says that the optimal way to do that is to keep the people who are with you strong enough to win challenges. I mean, Rob, he's just dictating what your evolutionary strategy is going to be. I'm not down for that.
Okay. Evvie, well then could you give us the correct evolution metaphor for the shot in the dark?
Okay, I'm so glad you asked. Here's what would have been really cool if Jeff had said. Okay. So it's survival of the fittest. You've got these selection pressures on you, and now you as an individual have to decide the optimal strategy for yourself. Are you going to go? See, this is what I'm saying. If you have different options, you could go for challenge strength. It would just been so easy. You could go for challenge strength and try to be the strongest individual out there. For example, Paranthropus boisei. Rob, ever heard of these guys? A human relative from 2 million years ago?
No.
Okay.
I thought this was another rave.
No.
How in much Idaho?
People with my rant about this evolution thing. That's not really anything, Rob.
No,
are we in it?
No, this is great. This is great.
Okay. Rob, 2 million years ago-ish. Okay. The weather in the African savanna, it got drier. Okay. And a lot of the food sources for the human ancestors dried up.
Okay.
So there were kind of, which is a selection pressure, much like tribal council and the shot in the dark. Okay.
Yes.
And multiple strategies evolved, which is kind of crazy. So one thing that evolved is the path that leads to Homo sapiens, which is that some species started having bigger brains and using tools. That's us, okay? But there was this whole offshoot branch of human evolution, these Paranthropus, things which are like a human cousin. And instead of getting smarter, Rob, they get really big jaws and really thick skulls so that they could just chew up like nuts and
anything. Yeah.
Anything. And that's the challenge strength winning path. But that didn't work out for them. So maybe you don't want to go that way and you want to go big brain and do your own thing. And I'm shocked that Jeff didn't say this, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I'm following you on the, that these are the two different directions you could take the evolution of your tribe. Right. How does the shot in the dark factor to that?
See, the shot in the dark really just changes the strength of the selection pressure.
Yes.
Is the thing. Because the selection pressure already exists in that someone's going to be voted out. And so I think with the shot in the dark, so what the shot in the dark does is maybe changes who might be the fittest in that scenario. Now maybe blindsiders are going to be better off, right, or something like that.
Well, let me just put the evolution on the side for one moment, if we might, Dr. Jagoda.
I'll allow it.
For the Ika tribe or for the Taku tribe that we've seen these last 2 weeks, both had a decision to make, basically between two potential boot options. Mm-hmm. Did the shot in the dark matter at all for anybody other than for Tori or for Maryanne? Did the shot in the dark matter at all?
Yeah, I mean, I really don't think so. And if anything, it seems like, I mean, it sounded like people were maybe worried that Maryanne had an idol, like from going to Shipwheel Island. So I feel like there were other pressures more involved.
Maybe.
Right?
Okay. So maybe so perhaps the bigger concern was Maryanne playing her idol.
Right. I mean, and the other thing is evolution and also Survivor is an individual game. It's not a group game. So selection doesn't operate on the tribe. It operates on the individual. So it's not really about, do you want your tribe to win, unless that's a good strategy for you, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So yeah, that's all I'm saying.
Okay. Well, great job with that. I love a deep dive into and tribal council analogy.
Yeah. I mean, I think if I'm going to critique myself, I think the thing is that these weren't that bad, but I just really wanted to.
It's your wheelhouse.
It's just my wheelhouse, Rob, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if somebody was like, it's kind of like you're doing a podcast out here, I'd be like, wait, that's not what it's like. Actually, you have to have a backup recording and make sure that the guest booked.
Yeah. But people should look up Paranthropus because it's really crazy. Seriously.
Okay. All right. Where can people learn more about that?
Probably Google,
Google.
But I mean, honestly, your local natural history museum, if you go to New York Natural History Museum, there's great skulls. DC's got a great one. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Or, probably I'll post the picture after this now that I've.
Did you like that when Deshaun did the do or die, there were skulls on the ones that were die?
You know what, Rob? Since we're on video.
Yes.
I love a skull.
Oh, wow. Okay, I'm gonna go full frame on Evvie here. What is this? You have is this real?
No, this is a replica of a real Neanderthal skull that was found in France. It's like a really cool burial. This skull was buried in a way that with the rest of the body in a way that makes people think that Neanderthals buried their dead. Which is a very complex, very human-like thing to do, bury your dead. Mm-hmm. And my PhD supervisor gave me this for my graduation. So, love a skull. Very pro skull.
Okay. Incredible. Well done. Is that with your other Survivor challenge props?
It's all in this room, but they're not all as accessible. Mm-hmm. Speaking of Survivor, you got to have this.
I love a prop guest. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Speaking of Survivor challenge props, I practiced being the caller.
I meant to ask you that. Did you practice a blindfold challenge? Yes.
Yes. I did. I'm all about the preparation.
Okay.
because the thing that I couldn't decide about me is, okay, here are the factors I was weighing. I'm very accident prone and would likely get extremely hurt if I was a blindfolder.
Yeah.
I also have a very loud voice. Like, I mean, you don't need a microphone.
Great speaking voice. Yes.
Thank you. And I've been told, ever since I was a kid, get in trouble in class because my voice, quote unquote, carries. It's loud. Okay.
Yeah.
It carries. You can hear it.
Been there. Yeah.
Yeah. So I feel like I would have been really good, but I also don't have great spatial awareness. So it's a toss up,
Mm-hmm. Right.
But I think here's the thing. People really optimize the collar to be the loud person, which is obviously important, but they got to be able to solve the puzzle,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, this hits close to home because in Survivor All-Stars, on the challenge where I got voted out was the blindfold puzzle.
Yep.
And I wanted to be the caller. And then Alicia, who had done this challenge in Survivor, the Australian Outback, said, no, I need to do it. And in fairness to Alicia, that she did do a good. I mean, she almost got Big Tom killed, but she did do a good job that they got to the but they didn't have the puzzle team.
Right. But like, what was it? Wait, was it blindfolded for that one? Because like Boston Rob,
they were not blind. They were not blindfolded. Yeah, famously, this is the only time Boston Rob can't do a puzzle on Survivor.
Right.
They're like, oh my God, Boston Rob, he's a master at puzzles. This day, not his best day. And then maybe by also Winners at War, he kind of maybe lost that ability.
Yeah, but I hate to say it, Rob, it worked out for him, in that season.
It worked out fine for him. Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
That's fine. And if we're being fair, I'm not complaining either.
True.
Look at me. Look what I'm doing right now.
Killing it as a podcaster.
I'm talking about right this moment.
Yeah. Oh, talking to me?
Yeah.
It led you here?
Yeah.
That's great, Rob. You're so nice.
How can I complain?
You're too kind, Rob.
We're in the new era. We're still going.
Yeah, dude. Did you ever think you'd make it from you're OG, Rob. I mean, season 6. It's crazy.
Season 6, yeah. Look, like once upon a time I was out there talking about my crushes.
It's true.
It's true.
It's true. And Jeff used to yell at you when you talked about your crush. He likes it when Maryanne does it.
Yeah, all of a sudden he loves love. But back when he was like doing like entrapment with anybody catch your eye over there? And then we're talking about who's the BFJ and whatnot. It's like, oh, real serious, guys. You're going to be showing up tribal council of a whole bunch.
Love, Rob. He loves love.
Loves love. Yeah. Okay. Look,
that's pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just saying, maybe double standard from Jeff.
It's fair. It's fair. I do think it was more endearing for everyone when Maryanne did it. I think we can all feel pretty good about that.
I wanted to ask you about the Ika tribe, which we didn't really talk about too much.
Is that blue? Sorry, I don't know.
Blue. Yeah. So we saw Drea come to talk with Swathi and Tori and pitch them on the idea of, hey, women need to stick together. And in the moment, everybody's like, okay, great. She also mentions, I have an extra vote. Swathi says, actually, maybe we should just get rid of Drea. Would be very interested to know what you thought about that, considering where the Yasa women had a working agreement back once upon a time during season 41. What'd you think about that?
Yeah, that was interesting. I mean, obviously, love me a women's alliance when it actually happens. And they don't even know that the women's winning streak is broken. So I know that was weighing on all of our minds, like very much so. I really wonder what would have happened. I mean, it feels like this was too late. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, if you're gonna introduce, it was just interesting timing that she were to introduce this now after the whole, I feel like go to Tori and pitch Women's Alliance when Tori's on the block, you know what I mean? And then she's like really going to be excited about that. And it seemed like, honestly, Tori probably would have gone either way, would have been maybe more into that if Swathi hadn't. But I think it seems like Drea, I mean, she just is really, really out in front. Like, she went to the Shipwheel Island, and she's obviously the most physical in so many ways. I feel like she just had the wrong read on the relationships, I feel like. Yeah. But Swati also rejected so quickly. So I don't know. Yeah.
I thought that was surprising that she thought so quickly about switching it up. But do you think, is it a mistake to go to two people at once and suggest an alliance, as opposed to, is it the better move to talk to Tori one-on-one and feel her out, and talk to Swati one-on-one and feel her out?
Yeah, I definitely think that's a better approach. And especially, if you can really, it feels more meaningful, right? When someone's coming to you with an alliance. Again, like, I really feel like, going back to, like, you want to have individual people feel like they have an individual stake in you staying in the game, right? So I think, I think that might have gone better. I really wonder what would have happened if she hadn't also revealed the extra vote. Like, I think that also might have tipped the scales,
Yeah. Very interesting.
Yeah. But I also think if you're Swati, for example, I mean, and it's really hard because we don't know the full swath of the relationships there.
Yeah.
Like,
yes. Well done.
It seems like Swati has a good relationship with Roxroy. I don't know what her relationship is with Romeo. I'm just playing it out. It's like, you want to keep all your options open. Why not just, like, go with it, get a guy out? But then I think it seems like the guy would probably be Roxroy, not Romeo. It'd be kind of nice for Swati to maybe get Romeo out. Maybe she's got more options with that.
Yeah, it feels like that, going back from the first vote, that Roxroy is Swati's person, and so maybe she's trying to protect I'm not sure. We didn't see in that conversation necessarily, I don't believe, that they threw a name out there. And I know that Drea is tight with Romeo, Swati is tight with Roxroy, seemingly, and Tori is the person, like, that doesn't have a person.
Right. I don't know why, but I feel like Tori has legs in the game. I don't know. I mean, like, I just feel like she was very bold in the last episode. Like, it was a really, like, it sounded like, Drea was coming for Tori, like, from the exit interview. And she went to the person. And, even though she's, like, definitely, like, weird and, like, the social connections, I don't think Tori necessarily can win, because I think these social issues ultimately, like, will be a problem. But I just think she could take, I think she's down to play really hard. And I feel like
she's self-interested. Yeah.
She's extremely self-interested, and just, like, I feel like she doesn't give an F, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like she'll do whatever it takes to survive. So I don't know. I'm interested to see that.
Yeah, I think that she did a really good job last week with, I sort of, she got sort of a, dodo edit with some of the stuff with, like, oh, this is how I'm going to make relationships with the young people. But then when push came to shove, and then she, took Drea aside one-on-one to then, have it out, and then they came away with making an alliance. Like, I think that's actually, like, a really good move that I think that, it'd be fun to see more people like, hey, Evvie, can I have a word with you? Like, I was like, ooh, yeah. But then actually, like, form something.
Totally. And I really feel like so much of the time that would solve the problem. Like, I think about, like, at the merge in mine, if me and Deshawn had just been like, yo, why are we coming for each other? Let's, like, actually, like, sort this out. And we did try to talk, but there were, like, too many people around. You know what I mean? If we had one-on-one sat down, it could have, like, gone so differently. Like, I feel like, it's a bold move. And I feel like maybe, even though, again, I don't know how it's going to work out in terms of people's, like, ultimate feelings towards her when she gets to final tribal, if that happens. But I think having a little bit of that, like, brashness, which makes her kind of awkward socially, could make for you to be able to make better, bolder moves than someone that is a little more self-conscious might not think of, So, like, and and in that conversation with Drea, she was like, seemed like totally down for it. And then Swati was like, no, let's get Drea out. And Tori was like, totally down for that, and, like, that's good. I feel like,
Yeah. I've seen a little bit on social media and on Reddit, people have compared Tori to potentially like an Angelina, where she could be the type of character who is, self-interested at times, but also could be somebody who ends up, like, having that kind of longevity in the game.
Right. And like I said, it's like, I actually think Angelina played great in so many of her moves, but the social thing, I mean, ultimately you need to get people to want to vote for you. So I don't know. I could see Tori having that fate ultimately.
Okay. Evvie, let's bring in some questions from the listeners of the podcast, if we can. Let me actually go back to something that you had said last week, where you were listening to the podcast with the great Gabby Pascuzzi that we did last week.
Yes.
But you felt like that Gabby betrayed you.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Blindside. Okay. First of all, obviously love Gabby. Like that was obviously a joke.
Yes. Yes.
But so yes. So Gabby, is an actual social scientist, social psychologist,
yes.
right? That's her field. So I love the Enneagram. And I was thinking even after I treated it's like if someone was like, Evvie was like, Sapiens isn't that real. And it's like the
the theory of Enneagram.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
But I really think if people don't know about the Enneagram, they should listen to the podcast you and Chappelle did about it. I think it was really fantastic.
Yeah, well, he is like my guru when it comes to the Enneagram.
Yeah. So I will say, I am a scientist, but I don't think that the Enneagram is like, I don't really believe in stuff where it's just like, you are this and you just like, I've decided that you are that. But I really do think compared to so many other personality things that the Enneagram just, for me personally, is a really extremely useful tool that has really helped me understand a lot about myself and other people. And I really do I'm not saying that means it's like actually, scientific or whatever, but actually one of the psychologists on the Survivor staff, who is, her job is that she's a personality scientist for Survivor.
Oh, interesting.
Was a huge fan of the Enneagram, and she and I would talk about it all the time. And wow. I learned so much from talking to her about it. I typed a lot of people at Ponderosa, so.
That sounds really, really fascinating. Do you feel like that they try to cast certain personality types, are some better? I guess my question is, I'm all over the place. Is Survivor better with like a diverse type of or is there like certain personalities that are best for Survivor?
Yes, I think as an overall cast, you ideally want a lot of different types, right? Like with anything. But I definitely think that there are probably types of personalities that are more likely to win Survivor. So I think this, I think this is okay to say. So I'm a 2-wing 3. Okay. So,
okay.
All right,
I didn't know that.
The 2 is like the helper is
yes.
Yes. So, my primary motivation as a 2, and I'll just say this has been very true in my life. I'm not just saying that someone was like, boom, you're a 2. I don't think, by the way, don't take an Enneagram test. I think, or take an Enneagram test to tell you what types you should read up about and then read them and decide which one feels the most like is my personal.
See, I thought you were a 7 like Chappelle because you go to raves.
No. I am no, I'm not a 7. I'm not a 7.
Okay.
But 7s are great. 7s are so much fun. You know, sometimes. But that's the thing. All the types. You're a 9. 9s are wonderful, by the way.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that.
You were down on being a 9, I felt like, when you heard that.
At first, when it's that when I learned more about it, I felt better about it.
Yeah. But anyway, so 2 is like my main motivation is I want to be loved. And I feel like the way that I will find love is by being helpful to people and like doing stuff for them. And that's the simplified thing, right? Mm-hmm. But then the 3 is also 3s also want love, but they think that they'll get love through achievement and like winning. Yeah. And so I think I'm allowed to say this. Erika is a 3. Okay. The winner of Survivor 41 is a 3. She's actually, I'm a 2-wing 3 and she's a 3-wing 2. And I honestly feel like that's right. It's like, we're similar in other ways, but at the end of the day, she cared more about actually winning than where I'm like more caught up in like, does Jeff like me? Do the producers like me? How's this going to look on TV? You know what I mean? I got a lot of other things happening and like, going on. Yeah. And she's like, she's like, I'm going to win this. And that's how I'll get the love. You know what I mean? And so I think 3s are really good, are likely to win because they're all about winning. I think 8s is another type. So 8s are like all about control. I think, I won, but there were a lot of 8s on my season. And, Boston Rob, like that's the ultimate 8 is like, I'm going to try to like control it. And so I really think that probably was once a common winning type. I don't know if you can as much win as an 8 anymore because
I think I think is very fair. What do you think Maryanne might be?
Wow. I mean, it's really, really only.
And again, we don't really know them, and you really like it'd be best to ask Maryanne.
Yeah, of course. But I mean, I definitely think she could be in the like 2. So the 2-wing 3. So the 2 is the helper. The 2-wing 3 is the entertainer, which is kind of like somewhere in between. It's like you're the host. It's like you want to be friends with everyone. You want everyone to be your friend. Like she could definitely be somewhere in that spectrum. That wouldn't shock me at all. And she's like a divinity student, right? So I think, that's like a helping field. Like you could have, I could definitely see that. But also, so 7s, you brought up 7s, like fundamentally don't want to have like pain. And they're always like, so 7s, it's like if something is scary, they're just like, F it, I'm going to go on a trip or whatever, which is obviously a simplification of everying. But,
going to Igloo World.
Go to Igloo Fest. Yeah, exactly.
Igloo Fest.
Yeah. So I don't know. I really don't know Maryanne that well, but I can also see, she's like at all times.
Yeah. How about this?
Okay.
Did you get to know Jeff well enough that you know what Enneagram type Jeff might be?
I think Jeff's probably an 8. I think Jeff's probably
an 8. I mean, that's interesting. I wouldn't have guessed that.
Well, he runs the damn show. You know what I mean? I don't think you can. I think that level of being in control of like that level of thing. And it's not like it's like he started as the host and it was like over time, this became the Jeff Probst thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's very 80, but I don't know. But I could see him as an 8 with a 7-wing. So he's got the control thing, but he's also got the adventurer thing. I mean, look at him, Yeah.
It
feeds him half the time.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I hope that the people, the Gabby Pascuzzis out there, could indulge us this Enneagram talk.
Yeah, I mean, again,
we could talk more offline about this, but
yes, of course. But listen to the Shipwheel podcast. It's
really good. It's really great. I think it's at robswebsite.com/Enneagram. If you ever want to listen to Chappelle taking me through what all the different Enneagram types are. And I do think that would be very fun to try to guess what more of the survivors are based on what we know of them from TV.
Absolutely. And, I think it's better than talk. I don't feel like it's great to share about, people that I really know because it's like, they're real, But I think Erika will be okay with it. Hopefully. Erika, love you, girl.
I mean, yeah.
I think $1 million,
Yeah. I think everybody's okay to like, you're a 3. Like, yeah.
You won?
Pretty good.
You're the winner,
Yeah. Okay. Patrick Wells wants to, do you think that Taku kept Maryanne over Mariah to use her as a fan favorite shield for later on after the merge? Now, I've never heard this term before.
Wow.
Do you is that a thing, the fan favorite shield?
I personally don't know that that's a thing. Yeah, I feel like you're not necessarily I'm thinking in those terms. I mean, like Mike White was thinking in those kinds of terms, right?
Right. Well, he was to a point, and then he's like, well, we have to get rid of this person. Right. Do you think, is that even a thing? So, and forget like fan favorite, but is there sort of like, okay, Maryanne is going to, I guess in the same way, like the traditional meat shield, everybody's going to be focused on them, but is Maryanne an effective distraction in any way that if you are, say, and I'm like, say you're Jonathan, where the type of person where everybody's going to be looking at Jonathan, is Maryanne enough of a diversion where people might potentially be thinking about her when you go to the merge, as opposed to, hey, we have this giant guy who, people seem to like, we need to vote him out.
Right. It's interesting. I mean, I feel like with Maryanne, it's really hard to tell. Like, I feel like that could be the case if you think of her as someone like that's super duper like likable, endearing. Like the Elaine, I feel like Elaine is a very good metaphor of like, clearly everyone's gonna love her. But then it's like very like galaxy brain to be like, everyone's going to love her. So therefore they're going to try to get her out. So then they like won't try to get me out. I think it's a lot more, I think the first order of magnitude is like, everyone will like her and therefore might get me out over her. You know what I mean? I think that's, but it's really, but then it's like with Maryanne, maybe she's also coming off a little silly that like, could she, you know, it really depends on how people ultimately are perceiving her, you know?
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah.
How about from Marco, who wants to know, if you were in this season, Evvie, which tribe would you want to be a part of? Okay, we could drop you off with one at one of these beaches. Who would you want to be on a tribe with?
That is hard. I don't think that I would have fun with the Roxroy vibe.
The Ika tribe.
Yeah, just in terms of the like work doesn't sound that fun.
That was sort of like the Abraham.
Yeah, it was I mean, Abraham wasn't like bossy so much in that way, but if it was a bossy or Abraham, hell no. You know what I mean? So yeah, that doesn't seem that fun. I never even said, by the way, I think Romeo doing great. Great winner.
I think so too. I felt like that Romeo was not getting a lot of love in the preseason.
Yeah, I don't know why. I think I guess you could see him as like a high variance situation, but I think he's doing really, really well. I think he's
sort of a slow week for the Ika tribe. They didn't really get too much going on, but I thought he had a really great premiere.
Definitely. And he continues to, I feel like, again, it's like Drea, I don't think Drea, when she said we're going against the men, meant Romeo. You know what I mean? So I think
yes. Yeah. Okay. Interesting. Yeah. That's Zach had told me that, you know, Roxroy was throwing out Drea's name, and Drea, we saw in the episode throughout Roxroy's name. So I just feel like that group of three that we saw may not be as tight as you would think.
Definitely. But I think that what it sounded like what Zach was saying is that, but Romeo and Drea is very close potentially. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I feel like that's and I think it's perfect for him that the heat is more on Drea. You know what I mean? Like, so I think, I think he's one to watch.
In some way, maybe Tori's the swing vote in this tribe.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think she's in an interesting spot. I mean, I want to see more of Swati, like what, you know, where that goes. But I think especially with Tori being as self-interested as she is, that gives her all the power in some ways, right?
And well, Tori's the swing vote potentially, but you know, we also, you know, got in the first episode that she's the one who's reading a beware advantage. So she's the swing vote who could lose her vote.
Might not have
where Drea might have to play her extra vote.
True. To get, but maybe then, it's interesting. I hope that tribe goes back to tribal because I feel like the dynamics are fun.
Yeah. I mean, you could see a scenario where, okay, well, Drea's like, they lose a challenge. Drea's like, okay, great. You know, we got to go to Roxroy. And then Tori's like, bad news. I don't have a vote. You know, and Swati's not with us. So you need, or, you know, would Tori just potentially go with the plan to take out Drea?
Yeah, I feel like Tori would just probably get out Drea in that situation. I mean, it's like anybody but me, but like a totally different personality type, right? I mean, I feel like that's the thing. I do feel like she's either the very interesting spot swing vote, or she's the, you know, the classic Rob Sesternino, the swing vote that is just the easiest vote to get out. You know,
wait, I'm the easiest vote to get out.
You're the inventor of vote out the swing vote. No.
Yes. Thank you. Appreciate that. Well, I love the idea of like, you know, when people have a choice, like, is it A or B? And then like going with something that's off the board. I mean, that's my favorite thing about Survivor.
Right. And that's the Daniel thing was so fun. Like he totally chose option C for the beware advantage. Like I love it. The thing is, try to get him not to say it.
Okay. You know? Let's take a question from Ivan, who asks, this cast feels nerdier than Survivor 41's cast. Do you think that if you were on Survivor 42, you could even do better Then how far you got in Survivor 41 because of that collection of personalities. Steven called the Survivor 41 cast or the 42 cast. He said that he felt like it was the least athletic cast that was ever assembled on Survivor.
Yeah. I will say I feel like that applies a lot more to the men of this cast than the women. I think there's some very fit women on this cast, I'll say. You know,
for sure.
Of course, as an unathletic person myself. You know?
Yeah. Right. Between Drea,
Lindsay,
Lindsay, yeah.
And Swathi was in the army. You know what I mean? I feel like you know, but you know, you definitely got some you know, it's a rate. I you know, it's fun. Yeah.
As far as the men are concerned, you have Jonathan and then you know, a bunch of great guys.
Yeah, and a bunch of great. I mean, Maryanne's crush wasn't on Jonathan. You know, it's not all about the size of the muscles. You know.
Yeah.
But anyway, do I think I would have? I mean, definitely in some ways. I think I'm a fairly adaptable person. So I don't think it was. I don't think I had to be around nerds to succeed, but totally could be. Like, I mean, I certainly would have. Me and Omar would have had plenty to talk about. We could have prepped that evolution metaphor like a little more. You know, I like Harry Potter, Rob. You know.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
You would fit right in. Have you ever had butterbeer?
I have not had butterbeer though, so I couldn't yes and that one.
It's delicious. Tori. Yeah,
it's delicious. Yeah, no, I think it is a pretty nerdy cast, which is cute. Yeah, there definitely seemed to be. It's cute. It's a different vibe. I feel like my cast was a little more like intense. You know. You had a lot of, yeah. Okay.
Amber asks, are we missing the theme seasons yet? You have a thought on this?
Yeah. I mean, what do you, I would say not really. I mean, I think eventually the names is going to get boring. But I think in terms of I really don't miss the like, as a hustler, blah, blah, blah.
Right, right. So yeah, that's rough. We don't need that. I mean, it's like, I feel like that we kind of like with the lack of a theme, I feel like that it's sort of caused Survivor to just like throw everything in the kitchen sink at it because that's like, they're not sort of restricted, but it's not like that we're longing for Survivor Shipwheel Island of like this season.
Right. I mean, I think realistically,
we'll go to Shipwheel Island.
Yeah. Realistically, I think Survivor 41, the theme was New Era, right? And Survivor 42, it's like New Era, and they haven't seen it yet.
Lock in a key.
Yeah. So I mean, it feels to me like these two definitely still have a, you know what I mean? You're not like lost. You're like, okay, these are the two new seasons. So, you know, so I think maybe it'll be interesting once we get higher in the 40s if it's lost.
Yeah. Okay. This is a question from Josh, who wants to know, I have an idea on how to handle the beware advantage phrases. I'd love to know what Evvie thinks about it. What if you just pretend to be quoting someone else? Like, could Xander have said that Voce guy was having a hard time out here? I think he wasn't sleeping. We'd catch him saying things like, I truly believe that butterflies are dead relatives saying hi. Was there context? Yeah.
I like it. I like it a lot. You know, yeah, that's pretty good. Especially when but then that's such a red flag though to the other people on your tribe because they're like, Voce never said that.
Yeah. Like, what are you talking about? You're a liar.
Yeah. You might be better off being like, my dad always told me.
Yes. Yeah. Quote a different person.
Yeah. But you know what? I honestly
one of my favorite poems. Yeah.
Yeah, right. I mean, I'm probably a bad person to ask because every time I heard the phrases, I knew what they were. But from what I heard from other people on my cast is that they really were not suspicious of them. So I think it's probably easier to say, you know, than you think.
Because these mat checks go on for what, 15 minutes?
I mean, they actually weren't very long. And they were mostly the phrases thing, but it's just like, you don't know that could be a thing that's happening. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay.
As a side note, with Mike and the soccer.
Yes.
Okay, it's definitely an easy thing to say, but he's very prone to get follow-up questions later. You know what I mean? You get to the merge and someone's like, oh my God, I love soccer. Who's your favorite team? I'm a this fan. He might run into trouble. You know?
Yeah. Do you watch Ted Lasso?
Is that soccer? I don't know.
Yeah. He's a soccer coach.
Okay. There, sure. Yeah,
Yeah.
see it. Look at me. I would have failed hard right there, you know?
Yeah. Okay. This is a great question from Elisa, who wants to ask. Okay. Hi, Rob and Evvie. A common comment I'm seeing that the editing is showcasing the personalities of the Survivor 42 cast. One thing I think that's really important to mention is that 42 is going to be 80% the same as 41 with same-ish twists. Because of this, the latter season benefits because editing and production does not need to explain the advantages and twists as heavily as it did in Survivor 41. This is like what you were saying before.
Preach,
I think 41 got shafted of showing the diversity of personalities because the show had to spend a lot of time explaining the twists. It's like the twists got flashbacks. Yeah. I personally think the solution is making the Survivor runtime longer, but for the benefit of this question, in the modern era of Survivor, how do we strike the balance between showcasing people and advantages in a 40-minute show so that the guinea pig season of twists aren't completely screwed out of personal content?
This comment speaks to me so deeply, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard. I mean, it just is so, I don't get why Survivor has to only be 42 minutes a week. There's so many other shows that are so much worse, that have so much more time, you know?
Yeah. I don't know necessarily like what the costs are to sort of like in the post-production, like, you know, to do. I mean, I feel like that 2 hours, I think might be a little too BFJ for Survivor. 90 minutes does seem like a sweet spot, but then it would be hard to fill that 30-minute slot with something that would be, you know, sort of like in the same genre.
Yeah, it's really difficult because it's like you want the audience to understand, but then it's also hard because it's like I feel like so much of the audience still didn't understand, and it took up a lot of time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, I really it's hard to say. I really don't know how you solve it because like it really was to some degree a bummer for me because I actually feel like I was with Daniel, you know, when I saw the Beware advantage, I was like, this is fun. This is cool. And I honestly still, even like, I think the problem that people have with Shipwheel Island is that we've seen it. But you know what I mean? As a mechanism, if there's going to be advantages, I think it's a kind of fun way for the advantages to come into the game. You've got a social element. The advantage isn't even that powerful, except, you know, 3 times it won't be that powerful. And 1 time it'll be the most powerful advantage there's ever been in the game, you know?
So you referenced the second episode of the season earlier, where this time we did not see Shipwheel Island on the second episode. But by the time you went to Shipwheel Island with Deshawn, did you already know based on Xander's story of like how the whole mechanism was going to work and what you were going to do?
Yes, I mean, Xander told us pretty much exactly the truth of what it was. And then it was exactly the same for mine. And also Danny had pretty much told Deshawn. So both of us kind of had the same intel. And then it was that. Yeah, but then it is kind of fun because then, you know, I got to know what it was and then make some decisions based on that, you know, which is kind of fun to see the survivors process a new twist and then play around it, right? Yeah, but then it was different. Then the third time was kind of different with the nighttime.
The summit. Yeah, the summit. But I almost feel like that it was sort of like, okay, well, the prisoner's dilemma aspect of it was sort of like taken out of the equation where you went and then where also when Shan and Liana went, where they sort of like gamed it out ahead of time. And I guess, did we have a couple episodes where we didn't have Shipwheel Island? I guess
there was just one in episode 4. There wasn't in the we had like the challenge throw, and we had the first reward challenge. So they switched. It was either reward challenge or
the Shipwheel Island. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I hear that.
Felipe Shimon wants to know: did anybody besides Xander have any crushes out there on your season? Was there anything like that? Mariah didn't even seem like that she knew about this crush that Maryanne had on Zach.
Right. Wow. I mean, you know, I guess I I don't know. I think, I mean, my season had a lot. I feel like a lot. I don't know what the percents are, but a lot of my cast had significant others for sure.
Yeah.
You know, but I'll say
that's what they said about quarantine, that it was the ultimate cuffing season, right?
I mean, I definitely, from my group of friends, I think when the cuffing season loosened up, a lot of the cuffs, they came off.
Yeah. Sad story.
It is, but maybe it's happy. People get to, be free.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I think Survivor Goggles is real, obviously.
Survivor. Wow. I don't know if I've ever heard Survivor Goggles.
Are you serious? Come on. Like,
I know, love goggles. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you get it. Like, I think there's a reason why the Liana Xander thing was like on day 20.
Right. The small dating pool.
Right. Very much. Yeah.
Okay. Kevin wants to know, Evvie, who do you think up to this point seems like the tightest pair in the game?
That's a great question. I think Omar and Jonathan, right? I mean, I feel like the pair that we have probably seen the most. Probably, I don't know. I mean, we've definitely seen a lot. It really depends on what tight is. I mean, that's a pair that we've seen both the emotional connection and we've seen them like play it out strategy wise, right? So I think that definitely jumps to mind. But I think some of these other ones, I mean, someone like Mike and Jenny, like, I don't know, Mike, and I'm probably just like stereotyping him by, but he feels like the kind of person that like, if Jenny is his person, they're going to be a tight pair. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah.
I mean, that whole tribe, the Vati tribe, seems like that they're 3 strong pairs.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's going to be so interesting to see. I want to see that tribe go to tribal council so badly.
Yeah. Evvie, did you have any thoughts on the fake blood last week? You were like, hey, where was our fake blood?
Pretty much all you're talking about is like your bodies. I mean, I feel like that's like, it was like, I knew when people had pooped. I knew when people had peed. And if someone was bleeding a lot, we would have been on that. You know what I mean? So, but it was fun. It was great.
Yeah.
I mean, and what good luck to have Hai be like with his skincare regime. It was great.
Yeah. That's such a iconic image of Hai with the fake blood. Okay. Maddie has for you an idea to pitch you. Okay. What do you think about the idea of doing a shared advantage idol during a blindfold challenge? Maybe there's something for each caller on their platform. Would it be a better way to implement a shared advantage? For the 3 people who are the callers, they are all blindfolded or not. They can all see. The other players are blindfolded. Like, could there be something like once they start the challenge, like Jeff, like pulls like the curtain off something that says, like, by the way, like if the 3 of you do this thing, you get this other advantage.
Wow, that's pretty fun. I mean, I like it. I think it, to me, a little bit has the same feel as the amulet thing of it's like, what are the stakes in that? You know what I mean? In the moment, it's like, it's a free advantage basically because everyone else is blindfolded, But I guess probably in the new era would be like, but the advantage is you lose your vote, or whatever.
Yeah.
That's fun. I like it. I think the challenge, it's always fun to watch people find an idol at a challenge, right? I think those are good TV.
Yeah. What about for the 3 callers? Okay. How about there is an idol that is hidden, in like a particular, but you're not allowed to get from your podium. You have to get the blindfolded people to go get it and drop it and drop it in the thing.
Not even realize that they did that.
Yeah.
That's pretty, I like that. That's pretty fun. What if
but all three of the callers know, like, oh, the idol is in this bucket. Like,
right. What if you also, this comes to mind also, like, has there ever been, it would be kind of sure if there was a, like it was so fun when Deshaun and Danny tried to throw the challenge and then it didn't work. Like, what if you had that built into a twist mechanism where it's like, if your tribe loses, you get something, you know what I mean? So you're like rooting against your team and like the caller, like if you mess it up.
Right. Okay. So if you, lose immunity, you get an idol.
Right.
Yeah. That's fun too.
That's kind of fun.
With the other callers knowing about who has the idol, also, it's also like, do I want to get the idol if these other 2 people are going to know that I'm going to get the idol also?
Right. I really didn't want an advantage. Like, it's very much pressure and target and all that. On the other hand, it can also help you get to the end. So tricky, but.
It is very, very tricky. I think that with the introduction of all of these penalties, with having the advantage, I am wondering, do you feel like has the risk reward shifted to the point where you are better off not seeking out advantages in an aggressive way.
I mean, I definitely think so. I feel like it was almost already that way. And it's if you get caught looking for idol, that's bad. If people know you have it, they want to blindside you, I mean, I definitely think you want to be the person who read all the papers. And then there's another thing. I mean, Xander faced like a penalty from the jury almost because he wasn't perceived as like doing anything with his idol, And it's like, what if he just never had an idol,
It's a good question.
No. I don't know, but maybe he wouldn't have gotten to the end. So,
okay. Trying to think if there's any thing from the questions that we didn't already cover. Alex Jackson wants to ask, do you think that the elimination of the last time of Survivor is making older fans of the show lost in what's happening? I'm all for cutting filler, but my grandpa can't keep up in the show. Evvie, what should they do for the later days people who can't follow without the previously on?
That's funny. I mean, I feel like the problem with the previously on was that for me was how much like it was narratively giving stuff away, right?
Yes.
Like clearly it's going to be about this tribe because this is all Jeff is talking about here. But I know what the solution is. You just get the players to give cute little
like you did. Yes.
On,
Yes.
Looking after them.
Yeah, talk about what just happened last week.
What?
For all the players, yeah. You just can you just refresh us for if you're just joining us?
Yeah, exactly. That's fun. I mean, you did a fake little mock tribal account, so you just cut to Maryanne just going previously on Survivor. She loves that.
Yes. I mean, Maryanne knows how to get camera time. Talking about this is CBS.
Yeah, it is so funny. I feel like they showed now because Maryanne again was singing the Survivor theme song.
Yes,
and the on the Blue Tribe was singing it last time. It occurred to me that because you can't, that's the only thing you're allowed to sing that they're going to show it on the show, right? If you do a copyright.
What about the Yasa rock band?
Well, that's true, or originals, right?
Yeah.
But it was a secret scene. It wasn't good enough,
Yeah.
So that's kind of fun because it was always, you want to sing to pass the time, but then they get mad at you because you can't use it on the show. So you got to sing that theme song, I guess.
Yeah, and they don't get mad if you sing the Survivor theme song.
I guess not. I mean, I never tried it. Maybe you should be putting your effort into what if the players wrote the new you better be ready,
Yeah, we didn't really have one of those in Survivor 41.
Yeah, there was in the I feel like in one of the promos there was kind of something, but I forget now what it was.
Yeah. Evvie, were you disappointed that Sia wasn't more involved with season 41?
Sia, the shine is off Sia.
She has a lot going on. Yeah.
Yeah, but if she had given me money, I would have liked it. So
yes. Were there any famous people that were tweeting about Survivor 41?
Nothing jumps up in mind. I think there was something where Celine Dion tweeted something.
Didn't Neil Patrick Harris, a famous 3-name celebrity, talk about how he's loving Survivor 41? Did
he? I love that. Well, there was the Supreme Court Justice, the new one who's not in, said she loves Survivor. I mean, presumably that means 41, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't know. Was there anyone else notable? I was pretty busy during that time, so I might have missed it.
Yeah. Okay. Evvie, anything else about Survivor 42 or anything else from Survivor 41 that you feel like you never got to clear the air about?
Oh man, now we're gonna let 42 go.
It's their time. It's their time now.
It's their time now. But everyone out there, give another watch. The advantages now. They're there. I mean, okay, how crazy would it be though if there's an hourglass again? If it doesn't get smashed, that would be wild. I feel like I would have to really.
Yeah. You think everybody would be very excited if there's an hourglass and they don't smash it?
I mean, I think production would be very validated in that it's a choice, right? I think imagine that happens and then that person goes home though. That's Eric Reichenbach level. I feel like that's worse.
Yeah, Erika Reichenbach.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I don't know. I'm loving 42. I feel like am I right in saying I feel like there's just kind of like, it's not like there's not strategy, but it's just, it feels like it's hard. There's not so many like sides or you know what I mean? It's been these like unanimous votes. I don't know. I'll be interested to see how it picks up, you know?
Yeah. And I wonder maybe if that has helped with sort of like we're feeling very much like that we love the characters. Like I wonder if every season should have like some pretty easy votes to start things off. Like I wonder if that's like rather than, you know, a super complicated first vote live tribal council, people are moving around, who has what, you know, we get to spend a little bit more time with the characters and the votes are pretty basic.
Yeah, I like that. You know, I mean, obviously, maybe not as a viewer, but maybe the first episode, no one has to go home and everyone gets to stay a little longer. You know, it's a great cat.
Yeah.
Just saying, sucks to go home so early.
It's, you know, it's tough. You know, I don't know, but I think we're off to a great start here for Survivor 42.
Definitely. Yeah. It's really fun. And the cast just seems really sweet and great. And yeah, I feel very lucky that I get to be on this side and rooting for everyone, you know, so it's
rooting
fun.
For everybody.
Yeah.
Well, you have been very welcoming to the Survivor 42 cast here today. Did not drag any of them.
No, I mean, come on. It's like, what am I going to say? You know, it's like, come on.
Yeah,
we all made mistakes.
Did you feel like were the alumni kind to the Survivor 41 cast?
Oh, I mean, I think many individuals were very individually kind for sure. I mean, I think we all got dragged a lot. The hardest seasons than ever. Blah blah blah. You know, it wasn't a great look for us coming in, but I don't know. I would honestly say people were. I mean, very very nice. I would say.
Yeah.
And it's like, you know, we've been through it, you know, like these are people.
Yeah. And everybody was so excited for Survivor to come back.
Yeah. Yeah. That was very cool to be like, everyone's waiting. And I guess yes. And then
to break the drought.
Yeah. Oh my God. I can't believe that 42, they filmed right after us and then they had to wait so long.
It's very, very long. Yeah, I saw Ricard had posted recently about how close it was for the seasons in terms of like that your group had just gotten out of there.
Yeah, I mean, literally on the day we left Ponderosa way earlier than we needed to for our flight. They had us hanging out at a hotel for like hours before the flight because 42 was coming right then. Like it was crazy quick turnaround. So yeah, it feels like my sibs, you know, my siblings. Like,
yeah. Would you have been up for, you know, had they had a situation like Jackson where they pulled him before the game and said to you, all right, Evvie, we're a person short. Okay. We need you go back. Will you jump back in? We won't tell them that you played in season 41.
Oh my God, hell yeah. And imagine especially these 2 seasons, what an advantage that would be. I would know so many things.
You wouldn't know the triangles.
I wouldn't. I would know. Okay, you get someone else to do that.
Yeah.
That's
like, so wow, funny. Evvie, how do you know everything?
Yeah, exactly. I feel like when he said soccer, that was weird. Like something's up with that.
I've got a feeling about this.
Yeah. Guys, we're not safe at the merge. Wow.
I'm warning you. Evvie, what fun is going on in your world? So not a lot of raves these days.
Not my raving days. But I really, let's be honest, I need to hang out with Lydia when this is over. So maybe she'll bring me to a rave. Maybe that's you know, the dream. But yeah, no, life's good. I am as you mentioned, doing these weekly predictions on Distractify.
Yeah.
So you know, people could check those out and see how wrong I am. You know, I'm doing my thing. I'm on Cameo. I don't know if you're asking me to plug my stuff now, but
no, whatever you want to talk about.
Yeah, I really freaking love Cameos, and not to bring back a thing that we all are glad is over, Celebrity Big Brother.
Oh but,
yeah, I think it's been talked about enough. How Todrick's sins, but his cameo thing
that bothered you.
So sad. It really did bother me because I mean I'm sure he gets a very different volume than I get, but it's like the coolest thing to get to like. It's not that much work to make it personal. You know what I mean? People write stuff about their loved ones and then you just rip off that a little bit and it makes me happy. It makes them happy. And so like, Yeah, just saying. And this week, until March 21st, 25% of my Cameo profits go to an organization that supports people in Ukraine and people fleeing Ukraine. And all of Cameo, the app, also has a percentage of the money right now going to that as well. So it's a good time to do it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Evvie, you watching anything? That's last time we were talking, you told us about how you were watching the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, and then you were on with Maggie and Jacob.
Yep, so fun. I was a big on the Love Is Blind and loved.
Yes.
If people are still watching it and haven't, the coverage was amazing. The finale or like the
reunion
wedding
show.
Episode, yes. But in terms of the podcast, the one that Sasha was on, oh my god,
yes,
so funny, great podcast.
Yeah.
I kind of took a little reality TV pause right now. I mean, obviously Survivor, but my partner and I recently we're in a Shondaverse watch situation. So we just watched all of Scandal, all of it.
Wow.
Yes. And are like halfway through, we're like on season 4 of Grey's Anatomy. So if anyone
you're going is this a rewatch?
I think we've both seen a lot of both those shows, but we certainly neither of us has gone into the teens on Grey's Anatomy. So I don't know how far we'll go there.
This is a commitment.
I mean, yeah. The other a fun fact is that Carmel's aunt is a writer was a writer for Grey's Anatomy, and her brother was a writer on Scandal, or writer's assistant, but he wrote an episode. Pretty cool.
So she has all the tea.
She's got a lot of tea. She was there. She's seen think about Grey's Anatomy. Think about it from this perspective. The prosthetics department, it's freaking crazy what those people do. If you think about it, they're not.
I bet they can get you some skulls.
It's so true, with like drill holes in it.
Yeah, you get a bunch more for the collection.
Yeah. So if anyone is interested in that sort of content, yeah. What else? What are you watching? Oh my god. Okay, I know you're. How was Beyond the Edge, Rob?
Oh well, I happened to talk about it today with Jenny Autumn.
Yeah. Was it good?
So I would good. I mean, good is an interesting word. I would say if you love challenges.
No.
Yeah, I described it as a cross between Pirate Master and Tough as Nails.
Wow. Neither of those references
if you like about a 30-minute challenge and a lot of talk about just how tough people are and perseverance, and Beyond the Edge is the show for you. You could just jump to the podcast.
Okay, I think that's what I started doing for The Bachelor. I can't bring myself, especially I could watch The Bachelorette. I can't really watch The Bachelor. It just kind of goes against everything.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah,
but listening to the podcasts are fun. So maybe this will be a show I podcast.
If anything, you could check out the premiere podcast and see if it's interesting for you. We thought that the choice of the host is very interesting.
Yeah. What's that guy doing?
Yeah, he is. They went with a guy who is a UFC announcer. Has a very distinct voice.
Okay.
Yeah. And Meta World Peace is always going to be fun.
Right.
From the original Celebrity Big Brother.
Right. Yeah. I'm also, I feel like I'm not watching Big Brother Canada 10, but I am, because of my Celebrity Big Brother reign, I've gotten on Big Brother Twitter. I'm there.
How's the BB Streets? Yeah.
I feel like, okay, as a witness, y'all were obsessed that Kyle was on it. And now everyone seems to hate Kyle. What happened there?
Now, when you say you all, are you including me?
I guess I don't know about you, but I would say the RHAP verse seems to be the main.
They were excited. They knew him. That
they made him. It seems.
They blew him. Look, they and then they walked it back. What are you gonna do?
I mean, I feel like he's gonna be sad when he comes out. And yeah.
I think so. I think he's got a lot to be sad about.
Okay, I see. Yeah, see, I missed the content. I'm only seeing the reactions. I don't know what the content was.
Yeah, but people were excited to see him play. But then I always say, this is my advice to people, and I see that a lot of people in the community do this. Like, ideally, don't stand strangers. Like, let's get to know these people a little bit before we like greatest person ever. Like, we stand them because you don't know everything about them.
It's so true. It's so true. Like Evvie, who the hell is that? You know?
Yeah. No, stan Evvie now, but like that. It's a risk. It's a do or die. Sometimes it's a risky game of oh, I like this bio. I stand this person. Like, give it some time. Especially
when that person, the one thing you know about them is that they want to be on TV. That's a red flag.
That's a red flag. It's amazing in the case of Evvie, it works out great. And there's other people, it's like, oh, I didn't know. I didn't know they were going to be that. Yeah.
But it's been fun to watch that ride. I would say I was thinking about muting the hashtags. I was like, I don't know that I care about this, but it's been fun to watch.
It's intense. Are you a BBUS person?
I really like Celebrity Big Brother. Now I've seen 2 and 3 are the only Big Brothers I've seen. They're so long. That's what I'm intimidated about.
Yeah.
But I'll probably check it out.
You should dabble in the BB24 when it comes on.
Yeah. I also, in the midst of Survivor 41, was listening to some of the, I feel like I can also just Taryn live update my way through a Big Brother.
Sure. A lot of people do that. Yeah.
So I was actually listening to some of the BB23. I wanted to see how the whole cookout, I wanted to see how that end game played out. So I was listening to that.
Yeah. Evvie, well, you're such a great RHAP listener.
I don't want to be a kiss ass, but I really love RHAP. I a lot, it brings me a lot of joy.
Well, I appreciate that so much. And it's a great compliment coming from, such a smart person like yourself.
Thank you. Also, I, as long as COVID cases stay as they are, I'm going to be at the live know-it-alls in New York.
Okay.
So
all right. Well, no, it's a lot of ifs in that, but we'll be very excited.
Also, can I just say, I feel like also, side note, more ass kissing, but like the whole class of 2020 thing you did, it was just so cool. I mean, just like everyone was talking about, we need more diversity, and you just like freaking did it. And now there's all these really cool people on this franchise. Like it's so good.
Well, I appreciate you saying that. And, I was really very fortunate that there were so many great people that were out there that wanted to, come and play and do these podcasts. So, I was just, very, very fortunate with having so many great people around to want to, come and make the podcast better.
Yeah, that is the thing. When you have more diverse voices, it's going to be better. It's just going to be more interesting, And as a side note, I thought about applying to that, and then I was like, "Oh, I'm going to apply for Survivor instead." But
look, it worked. It worked out great.
We ended up at the same endpoint, Rob.
What did you want to talk about? Survivor.
Well, it was mostly like I'd been listening to so much evolution of strategy, and I felt like we needed a non-man perspective.
Yes.
So I was going to pitch like a evolution of strategy part 2, or like just a kind of like a skip around to talk about like feminist / queer / stuff. That was the vision. I probably got a notes app draft of it somewhere,
Wow. Oh my God. All right.
I mean, well, it was half baked, but yeah.
It's a great idea.
A really specific example, but I don't know if we're okay. All right. If you're just giving me a little taste of what we could have had, okay?
You found that you've opened up the app.
No, I just know it off the top of my head. Okay.
Okay.
In Micronesia,
yes,
when there's the whole thing where ultimately Amy Cusack gets voted out, right?
Yeah.
And so Eric tells the other favorites that Amy was, had been working with him, and and who was it? Him and Tracy, or yeah. And then Amy goes back to Eric and is like, "Thanks, Eric," or something like that.
Yeah.
Do you remember this?
Yes.
Anyway,
yes.
You and Josh were like, "Was that sarcastic? Like, what's that?" And it was just one of those moments where I was like, "Oh my God, that was like classic, like Mean Girls, Regina George." Like it was just, and I was like, I feel like we could have had, someone who could read her a little better,
Yes. Look, I'm sure that you could do a whole 300 hours on all the stuff we missed.
Right. That's
got wrong.
Not trying to nip it. It was just a moment of like, man, it'd be fun to like go in on some of that stuff, you know?
Yeah.
And, yeah.
Please.
It's already, that was my one idea. So, and we already did it in 10 seconds. So,
yeah, but how many more are there?
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot, I'm sure, you know?
Yeah. Okay. Well, Evvie, what, you know, anything you want to ever talk about on RHAP, whether it's with me or you know, you have a vision for something, you know, please, you know how to get a hold of me.
Yeah, that's so kind, Rob. It's really, really fun that I get to be a part of this. So thank you for having me.
Yeah. All right. Follow Evvie Jagoda on social media.
Yeah.
Is it the same for all across the board?
I think it's pretty similar. I think if you're looking for Evvie Jagoda, you'll find me.
Yeah.
That might not be exactly it, but you'll find me.
Yeah. Evvie's out there. And Evvie, thank you again. This was so much fun. This time has flown by tonight.
It's so true. It's almost like a rave, you know?
Is this what a rave is like? Yeah.
No, but you have rave lighting, Rob. Has anyone ever told that? It's honestly, it's bisexual rave lighting. You've got yeah.
So can I ask, what does that mean?
The rave lighting or the bisexual?
Yes.
Well, the bisexual because it's pink and blue, which is like and you know, rave, you got the pulsing lights, you know. So, you know, I think you could piece this together, you know.
I think pieces together, yeah. So Evvie, this was so wonderful. I'm gonna be back with my next podcast here, Talking Survivor, with Puya Zambakili. We are going to talk about your feedback. So send it in. robswebsite.com/voicemail or send in questions to robswebsite.com/S42 questions. Make sure you're subscribed to our Survivor podcast feed. Lots of other great stuff coming up this weekend. Of course, the B&B, Why Blank Lost, Taryn's Stock Watch, the Purple Pants podcast, Survivor News, Shannon Gus, and more. robswebsite.com/survivor feed. Evvie, thank you again. Take care, everybody. Have a good one. Bye.